voice is feeling a little bit weak today. I don't know what happened. It feels a little weak. Welcome into the rant, everybody. Pugs Moran every day, Monday through Friday, around about noon, here from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago. We do current events for normal people, hot topics, conversational discourse at a level that we just don't get anywhere else in this country. You tune into AM radio, you're just going to hear... Look, you know what you get on AM radio. You know what really bothers me about AM radio? You know what bugs me about it? Every time, and oh, by the way, I should let you know, there is some construction going on around here at the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, as I'm really struggling with my voice. So please bear with us. We're going to hear some hammers and some nails, but it won't be that bad. Pardon our dust, as they say. You know what really bothers me about AM talk radio? Like your WBAPs or your, whatever, wherever you are, wherever you live, where you get your, your right-wing bought and paid for Republican, conservative, scared white guy, that whole audience, right? That thing. You know what bugs me most about it? Like, most of those dudes do radio. Most of those dudes do talk radio in fucking sport coats. Sport coats. Some even wear shirts and ties. Now, I know what you're saying. Yeah, Pugs, there's a lot of cameras involved these days. No, I just hate that. I couldn't imagine. There was a radio station in Miami that requires their on-air hosts to wear collared shirts. And I was like, you mean I can't come in and do a talk show in a t-shirt? It's the radio. You got to have, okay. Anyway, we do a different kind. You can certainly wear a t-shirt if you want to come and be a part of this show, or if you even want to host it. Hell, I think I'm wearing a t-shirt right now and my sweater. Guys, the voice is really not good. And that's because it doesn't matter. I got a full show for you. So I'm just going to sound a little different today, and I apologize for that. But get over it. I mean, really. Yeah. Here's what I want to say. This weather is insane. We do the show here from the south side of Chicago. It originated in Dallas, did the first 4.5 years down there in Dallas. Now we've moved the show up here temporarily. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I don't know that this is a permanent situation because I do have a young boy down there in Texas, and I want to get back to him as soon as possible. But so anyway, here we are. And the weather up here has been nuts. Now, a couple of days ago, I told you about our little night of tornadoes. That was a lot of fun. That was Tuesday night. Now, today, it's like, okay, first of all, the temperature. Well, let's make sure we know exactly what the temperature is. We have the technology to be able to do that. 40 degrees. It is 40 degrees, which isn't great. But it's not terrible either. The problem that we have today is, what do they call this place? They call it the Windy City. And we have sustained winds that are not bad enough to cause... No, actually, I was going to say, trucks are getting knocked over on the interstates because of the winds. It is just so windy. It is irritatingly windy, and the temperature is cold, and we got snow 2 days ago, and then yesterday it was 70 again. It's nuts. And so my throat and my voice, my sinuses, they don't know what the hell to go. It's, oh God, this happens in the fall, and it happens in the spring. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's say hi to the chat room. I love my chat room. I love my people in the chat room. Who was first in today? Let me know in the chat room. Does this voice suck? Can you guys barely hear me? Because I don't even know if I'm articulating properly because I'm speaking in a register that I typically don't. You know me, I like to scream. I don't think I can do that today. Peter is in the chat room first. Let's say hi to Peter. Hi, Peter. We've got Kevin in the chat room. We've got Barney. I saw somebody new. Did I see somebody new? No, I guess not. Peter's here. I said that. Adam is here. Tom Beller is here. Seth is here. Hi, Seth. Adam. Good. Adam. I'm glad Adam's here. Because you know me, I like to hate watch my show afterwards. And I was listening to the show yesterday. And, Adam is one of my trigger guys. Frank Smith is one of my trigger guys. Adam and Frank have been like my two trigger guys. I love them both dearly. They can have, I don't know if they'll get bone marrow. They'll get blood. If they need blood from me, I'd be more than happy to get tested. Maybe even one of those things that you can live without? Like, what are the things you can live without? Isn't it no appendix you can live without? Kidney, you can live with one kidney. I might give Adam or Frank a kidney. No, I don't think I would. Blood, let's be honest. I think blood is where it stops. They are my trigger mechanisms, and I do adore them, and they have been great helps to me over the years. But I don't think that's worth a kidney. No. Blood, certainly not bone marrow. You're not getting bone marrow. I'm not going through that for you guys. Good luck, But anyway, Adam, I wanted to talk to you because I was re-listening to the show yesterday and you triggered me on something. And I wasn't right. You were right. And for some reason, I don't know why I let you have it. You weren't right and I was wrong. It was more like sort of a mixed thing. We were talking about the Sam Antonacci deke during the World Baseball Classic. And I was really leaning into the fact that the base runner was watching Sam, and the base runner, because he was watching Sam, who was playing second base, Sam deked him by pretending it was a ground ball. The second baseman dove. The ball was hit in the air, but the second baseman, because he saw a guy running from first to second on the hit, the second baseman, Sam Antonacci, dove. He deked him. It's a clever little high baseball IQ type play, and it worked. And Adam in the chat room said that's more on the third base coach, and I went off on him. I'm like, get on the... Adam's right. Adam, it's not entirely on the third base coach, but I went and rewatched that just because I hadn't even been paying attention to the third base coach. Third base coach does bear some responsibility for that. So I'm sorry, Adam. I'm sorry. I admit when I'm wrong. And I yelled at you yesterday, and I do apologize. You weren't entirely right. I mean, it is on both the base runner and the third base coach. But for me to go off on you like that, because it was reasonable for you to say, the third base coach deserves responsibility for it, and he does. I still push back on Adam worded it as the third base coach is more I don't know more, but certainly he was right. He didn't deserve me to go off on him, and I apologize. So thank you. All right, there you go. See, look at me. I'm the kind of guy who can say when I'm wrong. That's what people tune in, because I'm wrong a lot. We're a passionate people. We see things and we react in real time, and we do it on the stream. Sometimes I'm wrong. And if I'm proven wrong, I like to think that I try and tell you, try to clean it up. Pete says we miss Frank. Do we miss Frank? Where's Frank been? It's Frank all the time. Frank's all over my Twitter page. I assume that Frank shares the page. Frank relentlessly shares, likes, does all the things that I ask you people to do. Did you share the show? Are you watching on YouTube, or can you share the show on Facebook if you're watching on YouTube? Because remember, we had the hacking earlier in the week where my Facebook page, my original Facebook page, I raised it up. It was glorious. It had thousands of friends. I loved it. And now it's gone. It's just a zombie rogue Facebook page selling Rolex watches and discount autos. I don't control it anymore. I got a new one, Pugs Moran, and it's a picture of, and this should be easy, me right now wearing this. I changed the picture, but the picture is now just me talking into a microphone. That's how you know you got me. I believe the other one, for a while, the Rogue page, had a different picture, but now they're back to using my picture with me and my son. I don't like that one. So if there's a picture with me and my son, that's the Rogue Zombie site. And if it's just me talking into a microphone, that's where you want to be. Pugs Moran on Facebook, Pugs Moran on Instagram, Pugs Moran on Twitter, Pugs Moran on Blue Sky, Pugs Moran on YouTube, wherever it is that you get your Pugs Moran. So guys, don't worry. I got a big show. I'm not gonna let the voice problems today, limit the show. We're gonna talk about stuff. Unless enough of you guys in the chat room are like, dude, I can't take your voice today. Then we'll call it. I do want to say this. It is Pledge Week here on the show, and we've been shaking that can. You know how much I hate to do that, but it's how we've made this show survive for 5 years, and on some level, we should be proud of that. Other people would sit on the sidelines and go, "You're insane," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I know, but we always make it by the skin of our teeth." Now, we didn't make it this week, and we still got today, and who knows? We didn't make it this week, but guys, we came unbelievably close, way closer than I thought. And horseshoes and hand grenades, right? That's how paying bills. Close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and paying your bills late. Close. I almost gave you the amount you wanted. So My God. And I understand because this all occurred during the show. And you have to understand, I don't get to monitor the chat room the way that I want because oftentimes when doing the show, I'm on other pages. I'm on newspaper sites. I'm reading. I'm looking at things and I'm talking. So apparently there was a movement in the chat room yesterday that I was caught up on through text from Maddie, and then I saw later on myself. And I'm really touched, really moved. Don't want to be all, simpy about it, but man, thank you so much. And I have to say, because of that, today's show, we have an executive producer. Today's show is executive produced by the combined efforts of the greatest chat friends in the game. Was there a movement for like everybody in the chat to give $10? You guys rock. You guys were awesome. Thank you. And we didn't make it entirely. And I'm gonna, but you have no idea how far away we were just 2 days ago and how close we are now. And I haven't done the final accounting. We might be over. I don't know. It's close, and I don't care. We're done. You guys are awesome. We did it. Let's just put that feather in our cap and celebrate. All right. Weird too that we're celebrating today because you know what today is? Today is Friday the 13th. Now, I don't go in for much of that, scary, spooky, mystical stuff. So I don't know, Friday the 13th, whatever. Be aware that it is traditionally a day where bad luck befalls the most innocent of people. So let's keep our fingers crossed and try and muscle through this one. Now, let me tell you something about Friday the 13th, because when I was looking at today's date, when I went, okay, it's Friday the 13th. I'm like, ooh, Friday the 13th. I thought to myself instantly, didn't we just have one of these? Didn't we just have a Friday the 13th? We did last month. We had a Friday the 13th in February of 2026, and we've got a Friday the 13th in March of 2026. And I don't know how rare that is to have two Friday the 13ths consecutively in a month. Like, how many Friday the 13ths do you have in a year? What's the average? What's the best we can expect? It seems to me because there is an exact amount of days every year and there is an exact amount of months that somehow there would be a math equation to figure this out, and we did. So, understanding that today is the second consecutive Friday the 13th that we've had in a month here in 2026. What does that mean? Is this just a bad year? And how frequently does that happen? Well, guess what? It never happens. It rarely happens. The fact that March of 2026 gave us a Friday the 13th, and then February before that gave us a Friday the 13th. That is very, very special. I don't know what it means. So I did a little research, and here I wanted to share this with you, okay? The odds on Friday the 13th. And how many Friday the 13th do we have in a typical year? Okay, so there are key conditions to have a Friday the 13th, okay? A month will have a Friday the 13th only. This is the only way it can have a Friday the 13th. A month will have a Friday the 13th only if that month starts on a Sunday. And this month did. Started on a Sunday. So if the first of the month is on a Sunday, you're going to get yourself a Friday the 13th. It says this leads to two specific scenarios for 3 occurrences per year. That is the rarest. And that's what we're going to talk about because we've already got 2. It's early in the year and we've already got 2. The 3 Friday the 13th per year. Well, how common does that happen? Hold on. Is very rare. Okay, here we go. Common years. If the year starts on a Thursday, Friday the 13th will occur in February, March, and November. And guess what? That's what we got this year. The first day of 2026 was a Thursday. That's right. New Year's Eve was a Wednesday this year. So we are in the special unlucky year where we get 3 Friday the 13th. Leap years. Did we have a leap year this year? I'm not sure. Leap years. If the leap year starts on a Sunday, Friday the 13th will occur in January, April, and July. All right. So those are the only ways that you can get what I think we're getting this year, which is 3 Friday the 13th. Okay. You got it. So the only ways you can get 3 is if the year starts on a Thursday, Then you'll get a Friday the 13th in February, March, and November. During a leap year, if the leap year starts on a Sunday, then Friday the 13th will occur 3 times, and it'll happen January, April, and July. I don't know. I was fascinated by this last night. Maybe I'm losing y'all, but all right, recent occurrences. 2024. In 2024, we had 2 Friday the 13th in September and December. In 2025, last year, we only had 1. We just had 1. And that came in June. This year, however, as I said, we've got 3 occurrences, the rare 3 occurrences, February, March, and we're going to have to wait till November after today. After today, we're going to go a whole 9 months or something, and then we'll have a baby. Let's see here. On average, there is a Friday the 13th once every 212.35 days with an annual average frequency of 1.7 per year. So there's about 1, 1.7. There's 1. We typically average, I guess, 1. For rounding, maybe 2, I guess. If you'd, hold on. Hold on, let me see what else we have. What is the longest possible gap between these dates? All right. Anyway, that's it. Little Friday the 13th fun. I thought it was weird it was Friday the 13th. There's more details, but really, I think I've lost the chat room. Nobody cares about Friday the 13th. All right, we're going to... Here we go. We've got a lot of stuff we got to get into today. Again, talk for normal people, nonpartisan, non-radicalized, just normal people. That's who I'm trying to talk to. I hope some other people might come in and enjoy, but I expect this show is for normal people. We're going to talk about we learned another hard lesson yesterday. Apparently a lesson that did not stick after Uvalde. So we covered briefly yesterday during our live stream both of the terror incidents that occurred in America yesterday, and one by one we moved off them because it did not appear that there was any kind of mass casualty event, and thankfully there wasn't. I think between the 2 we had 1 dead innocent, 2 dead terrorists, but 1 dead innocent. We had the Old Dominion situation and then the Michigan situation, and we're going to talk about those. We'll get into the details because we do know a little bit more about what went down than what we knew at the time yesterday when we were covering it, so stay tuned for that. We're also going to talk about the war. Okay, so we've got more casualties. We doubled up on our casualties in one incident. We lost a refueling plane. What happened? There were 2 planes involved when this story was breaking yesterday around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, somewhere in there. There was a lot of confusion as to what was happening here. What was it? 2 refueling planes that had gone down, and then we'd heard reports that there was a second 1 plane was missing, and then the second was damaged but landed safely. So we'll get into all the details on that, try and figure out exactly what happened there. War. Here's what we do know, though. They told us straight out that it wasn't, enemy or friendly fire. But you got to consider who's telling us that. And I have no faith in anything. I don't believe anything. I don't know. But we'll get into it. Here's what it looks like to me. Well, I'll tell you what it looks like to me. We'll move on to that. We've got a whole bunch of video that we're going to go through. I want to, something caught my attention yesterday. The big talk is about how MAGA has really sort of lost a lot of weight, if you will, not in the individual MAGA Denzian, but the size, the girth, the mass of the total MAGA audience has kind of shrunk. And I was alerted to something yesterday. Trump did his thing in Kentucky. Now it's Kentucky, so what are you going to get? But faces in the crowd. I want to take a look at some of the people who are still going to MAGA rallies, because this Kentucky crowd was just insane. This started with a post. Somebody posted a wide, sweeping sort of picture of the crowd, and then it simply said, zoom in on the faces. So I was like, okay, I'll play this game. So I started zooming in, and then I started going, oh God, I just got to take random pictures. So I started zooming in and making screen captures of different groups. We're going to look at the different sections, just random sections. Who's left? Who shares your worldview that is publicly going out in public and being, yeah, this is all going so great? So we'll look at that. We're going to do Oscar noms. I'll do my picks. The Oscars are on Sunday. I won't be watching. Oh, but I'm going to do my picks because gambling, because why not? I'll do my Oscar picks, and then I'll check out the news probably around 11 o'clock on Sunday night to see who won. Because I don't know that I can watch the Oscars. Although I will say this, Conan O'Brien is hosting. So I love Conan. Who doesn't love Conan? Trying to think who does love, maybe Jay Leno. Maybe Jay Leno doesn't love Conan, but I think Jay Leno probably likes Conan. Anyway, so we'll do the Oscar nom picks. We're going to break down a situation in Florida. I often say, I've got a 17-year-old son, and I don't know what the hell I did in my life, but I got really lucky. He's not a bad kid at all in like any way, shape, or form, and he checks every box. I mean, he's a dick, he's a teenager. And he's got a smart mouth, and he's a bit of a conniver. And, within his family, he's always trying to manipulate a situation to get himself in a better place to win. He's very competitive, all of that stuff. But, in terms of, I got to bring my kid out to meet a bunch of people, and I'm worried about how they're going to be struck by him. That's not a thing. My kid's charming. My kid knows how to talk to adults. So, and I always say that I'm so glad that I have a boy because I would not know how to relate to a girl. We're going to break down a story out of Florida between a daddy and a daughter, and I just don't know how I would have reacted any differently. So we'll break that down. I need daddies and daughters. I need dads of daughters to help me walk through this because, oh my God, what a crazy sad situation. I mean, it's not sad like people died, but it's just... I think of this, apparently this is a single dad. It's like a single father with a teen girl, and some shit went down, and now his job is in jeopardy, and it's just, let's see, what else are we going to talk about here? We've got more from last week. When the Texas election occurred, and Tallarico beat Jasmine Crockett, right? We saw, I had been saying for the weeks before that you got to vote for Tallarico because he hasn't been branded yet, because he can win. Because, Jasmine Crockett, if you don't even know who Jasmine Crockett is, if you don't even know what she looks like or anything, if you are a, average Texan, I imagine you have a bad opinion of her unless you live in the district that votes for her. She's been branded. So I was advising people, I'm like, look, if you want to try and win this thing in November, if you really want to steal this seat from Cornyn, you're going to have to vote and get the person who isn't branded yet through the primaries, because then the branding will start. But they don't know who Tallarico is, and he did that. He won. They didn't brand him. Nobody knew. Everybody just heard his message and went, that's refreshing and new. I like that. And he beat Jasmine Crockett pretty handily too, actually. Seemed close on the night of, but the final vote, it's, wasn't as close as most people thought. So now he's going into the big race. He's going to take off against whoever beats Paxson and Cornyn, right? So they're gonna go butcher each other for a couple of months, and then they'll get to the direct branding of Tallarico. But some started, in the first wave was that he's evil because he is a Christian Democrat, and the idea within the established modern evangelical Christian church is that you can't be that. You can't be a Democrat and a Christian. So he was labeled as evil, and that got me starting to keep an eye out for examples of preachers and stuff who are, if James Tallarico is evil, well, then what are these guys? And I showed you an example of a preacher in a black church who was screaming at his congregation because they weren't tithing enough. They weren't giving enough money. So he demanded that they bring their 401ks, or not 401ks, their tax returns, so that he could then go over their tax returns to determine whether or not they had the money to be tipping at the level that this preacher demanded, right? Well, he's back. That guy's back. So he's doing more. So we're going to be like, okay, if James Tallarico is evil because he's saying that Jesus taught us to welcome the stranger and to feed the hungry and to care for the miserable, if that's what is being labeled as evil, let's check back in with this guy who is certainly not considered evil. So we'll do that, plus a whole bunch more. And, I wanted to try and hang out in the chat room a little bit today because of what happened yesterday, because you guys were just so awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Hi, Kevin. Kevin says he's here for it. Well, what is this about, Barney? Did I miss something? He said, I went with Farsi today for all the hot Persian baddies. That's a thing. That's a thing. Persian women are sexy, man. Whew. All right. Let's get started. Let's see. What's the first thing we're going to get into today? Sorry, Google Drive is going slow. All right, let's start here with the big news yesterday, because we're still early enough in the war, and this may sound callous, but we're still early enough in the war that we still count the bodies. It'll get to a point, well, hopefully it doesn't, but I'm just looking down the road at what's happening between us and Iran and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking that we're probably going to get more than 12. And that's where we're at now. We're at 12. We had the original 6 who were killed in the bombing on the opening night, right, in the military base in Saudi Arabia. So we had that 6. Then we had another one who was injured in that bombing, who succumbed to his injuries a few days later. So we were at 7. And now it looks like we've got 5 U.S. crew members who have been killed. Is it 5? Or I've seen 5 and I've seen 6. This is not, as the Pentagon is telling us, this is not a case of friendly fire. This is not a case of enemy fire. This occurred in Western Iraq. This was a refueling KC-135 that was being used to refuel planes, the other planes. Thank you. There you go. All right. Got the camera back. The sound was off. I apologize. All right. Back to the story as we were covering it. 2 KC-135 refueling planes had an incident in the skies in Western Iraq yesterday. If you look at the map, well, here, this is something that I did yesterday. I spent some time looking at the map of the Middle East. So let's look at it. All right. Show you exactly where this happened. I had never until recently, because maybe I did the last time we were at war, but I'm not really all that familiar with the Middle East. Like in my head, well, I'm not really that familiar with America, honestly, because I think that Boston is south of New York. Like in my head, Boston is south of New York, but it's not. So me not knowing where shit is, that's kind of par for the course. But okay, so let's go into the Middle East. I'll give you an example. Okay, so this is, I'll show you where my confusion happens a lot. All right, come on. All right. I confuse the Persian Gulf, which is right here. This is the Persian Gulf. You got Iran on one side, and you got Saudi Arabia over here on the other. All right, I always confuse the Persian Gulf here with the Red Sea. Now the Red Sea to me looks like some kind of an insect with these antennae coming out here. But this is the Red Sea, okay? So these are some important places that we need to differentiate, because there are issues going on all over this region. All right, so this is the Red Sea, and this is the, let's get in there, hold on. This is the Suez Canal, or this is the Suez Canal. I don't know, one of them. Here it is. Yes, this is the Suez Canal. Okay, this is a very important thing. Choke point, we're being told they're called. Choke points are places that are geographically military advantageous to one side should they control them. Choke points are like the Panama Canal. We're hearing choke point being used when we're discussing what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz. But this is one of the big. This is the big one in the world, I think, the Suez Canal. There's probably something over there in the South China Sea that's also important. But this is a very big one for moving goods. Everything in the world goes through here. And you can see why, because if you can get from this part of the world, right, China, and all you got to do is just kind of cut through here, then you can get out to, the Western world. And that's why the Suez Canal is so important. Now, what we're dealing with today are these incidents that are occurring in, hold on. Why is that? The incidents that are occurring here. This is, not to be confused with the Red Sea, as I always do. This is the Persian Gulf, okay? Now, this here, this little bottleneck, this is the Straits of Hormuz, okay? So put a flag in that because we're going to be talking about that as well today. So the Straits of Hormuz, as you can see, are essentially the entire coastline of this side is Iran. So Iran can effectively, militarily or whatever, cause some real problems in this particular area right here where shit tons of boats need to come this way. All right, here. This is where all the oil refineries are and all of that shit, Kuwait City, Saudi Arabia, all of this stuff. So the oil tankers come through here, they load up, and not only that, but, container ships and all that. But let's talk about oil because that's kind of the thing we only care about. So they load up and then they come down this way, right? And they need to navigate this weird little bottleneck, which is another choke point that we're learning about. They need to navigate here. And this is where most of the troubles are occurring because this is where speedboat, actually, truthfully, a lot of the ships, the oil tankers that have been targeted, that's been going on up here. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. But in recent days, the problems have been occurring in here. And this is where the Iranians really do kind of hold serve. Now, okay, so we understand that area, right? So now let's move up to where the incident yesterday occurred. So here we are. Let's see. Let's go in this way. Iraq. Ooh, okay, we don't need Iraq. All right, so this would be right here. This would be Western Iraq in this area. You see it borders Jordan. You've got Syria up here. So the refueling planes, the KC-135s, they were flying in this area, which is not necessarily an area where there's a whole lot of danger right now. This is kind of the safe staging area where the planes, the military planes of America are then, heading off into Iran, heading off across Iraq into Iran. So it's right about this area here where the planes apparently collided in the air. All right, so let's get back to that story now. Yes, all right, 6. Okay, the number is 6. So let's add 6 to the 7. That's 13. So 13 heroes. And they are heroes. I don't give a shit if you're against the war or not. These people were told to do something. They signed up. They went there. Their job isn't to consider the politics of it. Our job is to make sure that we don't put them in bad situations by voting for shit politicians. Guess we failed that one. But yeah, these are heroes. These are people who died with an American flag on their arm, and we must think of them in that way. Regardless, what is the thing that I love? You have to support our troops. You don't have to support the politics of the war. The crash was not caused by hostile or friendly fire, U.S. Central Command said. I got a problem with that. I don't trust anything that I hear from any of the institutions anymore. I just, maybe Trump was right like 10 years ago or whatever. Remember when he stood next to Putin and he said, I believe what Putin's telling me. And then a reporter was like, but none of the Western intelligence agrees with that. And he's like, I don't know. I believe him. So I am now more likely to believe other people than anything that comes out of this country. I just don't trust our institutions anymore. The crash was not caused by hostile or friendly fire, says U.S. Command. All 6 crew members died, it said, bringing the number of U.S. service members killed in Iran conflict to at least 13. 6 crew members died after a U.S. military KC-135 refueling aircraft that was part of the American and Israeli war against Iran crashed in neighboring Iraq. In a statement, U.S. Central Command said that rescue efforts were continuing and that the circumstances of the crash were under investigation, but added that the loss of the aircraft was not due to hostile or friendly fire. we now know that the search has revealed that we've got more families that need to be notified. Now, apparently, this happened. I don't. Again, I'm not like a military guy. Like I'm not a military nerd kind of a deal. But apparently this happened before in 2013, and it's not all that uncommon for planes when they're doing refueling, depending on wind, depending on weather conditions, depending on the expertise of the pilots involved. They bump in the air. That sounds like the fucking scariest scenario that there could ever be. And in this case, 6 crew members experienced that firsthand. So that is what I think people are thinking happened. Because remember, we're being told that it wasn't friendly and it wasn't, hostile fire. So, and there is a track record of with these planes, these kinds of things happening. Did you know I learned another thing. This is a 65-year-old flight shell. So the plane itself is a 65-year-old design. How do we have that? How with the world's largest defense budget are we not buying new planes? I'm told, and I've seen photos of deserts in Nevada and Arizona that are just filled with surplus U.S. military bombers and planes. How is it that in this war in 2026, we're up there flying around in a plane that was built in 1965? Now, again, I imagine it's been retrofitted with, all kinds of new modern technologies and stuff. But the plane itself, the shell, I don't know. I'm not an aeronautics guy, so I don't know if the Pugs, that's fine. Like if you're an expert and Pugs, that's fine. The design of these shells haven't changed in years, so whatever. But that did strike me as a little bit odd. So we'll have more soldiers coming home. More soldiers coming home to Dover, and more opportunities for Trump to learn to take the fucking hat off, dude. Take the hat off. Just be respectful. Nobody cares about your stupid old man straw hair blowing in the wind, okay? Use a little extra hairnet if you need, but don't wear a fucking hat this time, please. Please. There is so much to criticize about this president. We don't need to be distracted by shit like that. Own goals. Remember, these guys are great at own goals. The Iran leader, the new leader, the Ayatollah Jr., let's just call him that. He's the Ken Griffey Jr. of radical Islamic fundamentalism. Maybe the Barry Bonds Jr. We don't know. He released a statement yesterday, a big rambling, like 40-page statement, big, I don't know, 40 pages, but it was multiple stages. It was a rant, really, from the new leader of Iran. Now, here's the thing about the statement that he put out. First of all, the key points, right? Not going to give up. The people of Iran are thousands of year old civilization, and the United States is 140. They're run by a pedophile, right? Oh, yeah, they're all going with. They're all going with that. The United States is a pedophile country, Anyway, rambling note from the newly ordained, newly ascended. I don't know what the proper terminology is there. For the new Ayatollah, he released this. Now, couple of things about what the Ayatollah released. Again, filled with a lot of very provocative kind of we will not quit kind of stuff. Nobody has seen this guy. Nobody has seen the Ayatollah. He hasn't been photographed. He hasn't been shown. He hasn't been on video making any kind of speeches. Nobody has seen this dude since the ascension. And so there is a lot of conversation out there that, this guy's dead, that he is dead, and that the actual war effort, Iran, is actually being run right now by, I got to get these straight. Iraq has the Republican Guard. Iran has the Revolutionary Guard. I think that's the difference. Anyway, the military is believed by some to be behind this rambling note that was supposedly put out by Ayatollah Jr. Now, why do people think this? One, he hasn't been seen. Now, I can easily knock that away by going, well, yeah, he's in a hole somewhere. They're keeping him hidden. They're not going to do anything that could give Israeli or U.S. or Western intelligence any kind of a heads up on where he might be. So he's laying low and he's issuing old school statements. So you could knock down the he hasn't been seen thing. But then there's the actual text of the rambling note. And this is what caught a lot of Iranian experts initially as very sus, and that is that Ayatollah Jr. is incredibly well educated, like super well. These mullahs, these ayatollahs, they are strafed away from the other teenage dingbats, and they are put in special programs where they are taught multiple languages and they are cultured about the rest of the world because, again, the infidels are the enemy. So they are really well educated, well spoken, and they can read and write at the highest of levels of anybody that's been educated at the highest of levels, right? This rambling note put out by the Ayatollah has been, at least by experts, seen as vulgarian, almost like written in a way like there are misspellings, there are commas in the wrong place, there are run-on sentences. So basically, experts are taking the rumors that he hasn't been seen, and then this note, this rambling manifesto that was attributed to him, they're putting those two things together and going, this ain't him. This isn't him. Now, he is radical and he would say all of these things, but he'd say it more artfully. He would say it more the way a philosophical religious leader might say it. And this is being spoken. These words are being, we were by like a brute. So they're saying that that's probably the situation. They might be completely done with whatever fundamental radicalism was ruling this country, the regime change that I sought. They might be done with that. We might be now on to the next thing, which is just a radical military dictatorship, which, you know, we've had that before. Hello, Saddam. How are you? Saddam Hussein was that. So, all right. So there we go. So the Ayatollah has released a statement, although people do not believe that experts, I should say, many experts are pretty much united on this. They don't think that's him, because that's written like a stupid person wrote it, like a stupid person who only knows about bombs and shit. That is not the kind of manifesto that a man who was trying to rally his devout congregation, if you will, his citizens, to an ongoing world war against, you know, the superpower. It's not written that way. It's written more like some dumb guy who's got, you know, his hand on the button. If they have a button, we're not even sure. I was told last June that they were completely rendered ineffective in the pursuit of a nuclear bomb. We were told that in June. And then lion-ass CNN was like, well, we have boots on the ground who say that those buildings, they're not completely blown up. And then, of course, they went, fake news. Look at CNN lying again. We, the Trump administration, completely stopped Iran's ability to pursue a nuclear weapon. That's what we did this June of 2025. And then here we are a couple of months later, and he's like, they were 2 weeks away from getting a bomb. All right, so which is it? Is CNN a lying sack of shit, or did they do effective journalism and just called you out on your bullshit and you just lied back? That's projection. When you accuse someone of lying when you're the one that's lying, that's projection. Not to be confused with gaslighting or any of the other manipulative con tools that have become so normalized in modern American politics. Let's talk about some of the other things that are happening here as we find ourselves heading into the second week of this military engagement. Again, what are we calling it? An excursion. Somebody called it an excursion. It's a war. It's a war by no other names. If we're bringing bodies back, if we're draping coffins and caskets with the American flag, then it's a war. They were sent to go fight an enemy that they didn't have any personal beef with. They're just soldiers doing war work. It's a war. So when this whole thing started, my first thought was, you know, we've been told for years that in this country, in the United States, there are all these sleeper cells. Sleeper cells are everywhere. That's why I don't go to the 7-Eleven anymore. I'm convinced that guy's in a sleeper cell. Right? That's who we were. So when we get to this moment now, where we're in this war with Iran, I'm thinking, all right, this ought to trigger them sleeper cells. This is going to be bad, because I believe what Fox News told me about all the sleeper cells. Well, it hasn't really happened yet, although yesterday we had 2 incidents, and let's talk about these. Let's talk about these incidents that occurred. We'll also factor in the first one. You remember the first one? It feels so long ago, but it wasn't. It was just less than 2 weeks ago. We had the Austin incident. Remember in Austin on 6th Street, just as the opening days of the war were beginning, this radicalized Islamic dude drove up to a bar on 6th Street and just started firing. That was the first one. Then yesterday, very early, we were doing the show, and I told you about a situation that was going on at Old Dominion University, where when we started the show, I said, sorry, guys, we're a little bit late getting on today. I always got an excuse. We're always a little bit late. I always got an excuse. I believe yesterday it was because I was monitoring the situation at Old Dominion University, where I told you that there was a situation at the ROTC building where somebody has apparently opened fire or whatever. So that happened, and we moved on with the show because in that incident, again, there weren't a whole lot of details that I was getting off of the scanner, and I wasn't seeing anything on the threads that I was following. So I thought he was killed. Like, very quickly, he was killed. It wasn't like we have an active shooter situation and we're locking down and everybody stay in place. So I didn't think it was really that big of a deal. So we moved on. And I mentioned it and we talked about it and we gave it, here's some breaking news that's happening, but we moved on. Then later in the day, my alerts started going off again, and I'm thinking that it's still related to the Old Dominion thing. And I'm like, okay, Jesus, why are they still sending alerts for this? So I took my 1 o'clock break, and I go in and I go to the bathroom and I get some coffee, and the TV's on in the other room, and I look and I can see that there is some breaking news going on in Michigan at a synagogue in Michigan. And we covered that live. We came back on and we did a little bit with that and we talked about it. And remember, I told you, it looks like the guy was taken down immediately by temple security or synagogue security. Why do I call it a temple? Is that common in Judaism that they call it a temple? Because I know it's a synagogue, but anyway, let's not get distracted. So we covered that a little bit, and I told you about how this is a synagogue in a very wealthy part of Michigan, West Bloomfield, and they probably have quite the security budget, one would think, if you are a wealthy synagogue in America. I mean, ever since the Tree of Life shooting in Pittsburgh years ago, you would imagine that at the yearly synagogue meetings, they are certainly upping the budget for security. And I said, they probably got a couple of retired Mossad guys, and that's their job. And it seemed like they had done their job right away at the Michigan synagogue. And he was the perpetrator there. He was reported almost instantly to have been, taken out, no longer a threat. So we moved on. And at the time that we had moved on from both of those stories, we didn't really have any indication that it was terror related. Although I do think that when we were talking about the Michigan, this just shows where my head is at. When we were talking about the Michigan synagogue incident yesterday, I kind of went off on this whole thing. Why are we doing this to the Jews again? Right? I'm like, well, why are we mad at the Jews again? What is going on with the Jews? In my head, full disclosure, in my head, I was thinking like some Michigan backwoods Nazi Jew hater, like a white kid who listens to Nick Fuentes or whatever. That's kind of my first thought when I think who is the greatest danger to the Jews in America right now. It's a 19-year-old boy with a fucking Nazi haircut. That's who I think of now when somebody does something to a synagogue. But then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh my God. Israel is, running roughshod over Iran and, Gaza and all that. I mean, so that one, Michigan, it wasn't the 18-year-old Nick Fuentes fan. It was an Islamic guy. It was Islamic terror. And I don't know why I didn't think of that first, because we're in the war. It just goes to show you the way I look at some people here in America these days, right? That I immediately just thought it was like a white, dumb teenager with a fucking mustache and, that guy. But no, the interesting thing about, and let's talk about that one first. Let's talk about the Michigan synagogue situation. So this shooter, the guy who went to Michigan, or was it? I guess he lived there in Michigan. The guy who went to the synagogue drove his truck through the front door, striking a security guard first. He drove the car right into the security guard. Security guard's apparently going to be okay. The guy drove his truck in there, and then somehow a big fire started. I don't know if he started a fire. I don't know if there was something that exploded in his truck that caused the fire, but the synagogue was significantly damaged by fire. You see smoke pouring out. There was like dozens of first responders who were treated for smoke inhalation. So the fire that started after the car crashed into the synagogue, hitting the security guard, the fire that started was really the biggest problem. But luckily, as I said, the security guard, he's going to be fine. He was hit by the car, but he's going to be fine. They took out this assailant almost instantly. So before he could kill anybody, so everybody was safe. This is a kid's school. There was kids in school at this synagogue at the time of this. All the kids are safe. All the staff is safe. Everybody is safe. The only person that got injured was one of the security guards, and the only person who got killed was the person who deserved to get killed. So win-win. Now, he was a Lebanese-born American naturalized citizen. That's who the shooter in this case was. Okay, so if we're keeping track, right? We're making these notes. All right, so okay, here's one. This is a Lebanese-born naturalized citizen who claims, and I don't know that this is true because this story was going around and reported by multiple sources yesterday. It is believed that he has family members in Lebanon who were killed on Sunday in an Israeli bombing. So let's put these pieces together. So you have a naturalized Lebanese citizen who is an American citizen at this time in this country. He lives in Michigan. He's sitting here. He probably has a relationship with people back in the old country. I was just talking to my sister in Beirut. Well, the story says that members of his family were wiped out in a bombing on Sunday night, and that kind of flipped him out. And that was his motivation for doing this. He's dead now. We don't know. I haven't seen any confirmation of that. But wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, because we were talking about sleeper cells. Sleeper cells are people who are here for a reason. They are activated when whoever controls them and whoever is paying their rent to be sleeper cells here, they are activated when they're told to be activated. The Michigan synagogue situation seems to be somebody who was what they call a lone wolf, who was just independently and personally activated because of something that befell him. If his family hadn't have been, victimized, this is if we believe that his family was killed in Lebanon. So we're going along with that. We are believing it for the sake of this little conversation. So his family was killed. That wouldn't make him a sleeper cell. And now let's move to Old Dominion, because I think that's a little bit different. I think Old Dominion might be an example of these sleeper cells that we're always told about. Old Dominion, it happened first. It was the one that occurred when we first came on the air, and I started telling you about that. Now, the Old Dominion shooting did have an innocent. Okay, so we lost an innocent. What was his name? Shah? Yeah. Sergeant Shah, who was the director of the ROTC program at Old Dominion University. Okay, ROTC is military training, which, if you're just going to be a lone wolf and you're going to look for easy targets, I would think ROTC is not the easiest of targets, but okay. Purposeful, right? They represent the United States military and the next wave of United States military. So if you were looking to wage war against the United States military from inside the United States, maybe you attack an ROTC. Maybe that's it. So that's what happened. So this dude this dude was a terrorist. Okay. This dude we knew was a terrorist. Guys, this dude who killed Sergeant Shah at Old Dominion University yesterday was sentenced to 11 years in prison in 2017. That's right. Do the math. 11 years, 2017, 2020, 2028. What year is it now? It's 2026. He should still be in prison. He should still be in prison, but apparently he was released early because he's probably not going to do anything. Now, what was he originally sentenced for? He was originally sentenced for illegal. Hold on, what was the phrase? Because they said illegal collusion with an enemy threat to the United States. So it's a little bit lesser of a charge than treason. Basically, he was supporting ISIS. This dude was an American who was supporting ISIS. And he got in trouble for it. I don't know the exact details of how he was supporting ISIS, but that would make me think, it's one of them their sleeper cells. This is, again, the guy in Michigan was apparently triggered by a personal tragedy that fell on him. There was no sign before this action that he was a radicalized anti-American or whatever. It's just that he, according to the stories that are going around, if we're going to believe them, according to those, he was traumatized by the death of multiple family members, and that triggered him. Again, the guy in Old Dominion now. The guy in Old Dominion was already in federal prison in the United States for essentially treason, colluding with ISIS. So we knew him. You know, this every time we get one of these crazy school shooters or some kind of mass shooting in a mall or something, we always go, well, was he on the radar? And then, you know, FBI or ATF or whoever it is, they'll look into the camera and they'll say, we did not have him on our radar. Well, this motherfucker was on your radar, dude. This dude was on the federal radar. We convicted him of colluding with an enemy agent, and then we let him out. We let him out early for good fucking behavior. Were we watching him? How closely were we watching him? And here's another question. He was the legal owner of a fucking gun. How does that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happens. Virginia. That's how it fucking happens. This guy was in jail for sentenced to 11 years. He only did about 6 or 7 of them. And then he comes out and he's able to get a gun. This guy was convicted of treason against the United States. You would have to be concerned of him as, you know, a potential terror threat. So let's make absolutely fucking sure he can't get a gun. Well, we can't do that. Second Amendment. He is American citizen. Second Amendment. He can buy a gun. How can he walk into a store and buy a gun? Well, it's Virginia. He didn't have to do that because they got private sales. And, you know, you can't tell a man he can't own a gun. Got a gun through a private sale. These loophole bullshits. And now Sergeant Shaw is dead. Sergeant Shaw is dead. Now, there is a happy ending to this fucking story. This is the way we want it to go down. Measured, of course, with the sorrow for the passing of I don't know anything about Sergeant Shaw. I just know that this wasn't something he deserved. We know that. So the dude comes in at Old Dominion, right? The ROTC building, apparently walks into a classroom. He walks in, he's got a gun, and he shoots Sergeant Shaw. Shoots him. Boom. Now, I don't know what happened next. I mean, I would love to see this. And I don't like to watch gore. I don't like to watch, like, I tell you, I watched The Pit. I love The Pit, but, you know, during surgical scenes and stuff, I put my hand up like this. Like, I don't want to look at it. Like, if I put my hand up like this, I can't see the full gory details of what's going on, but I can still make out, I can still follow. So I don't like gory details, but I'll tell you, if they release, if there's a video of what happened to this son of a bitch at Old Dominion University, I'll watch that. Hell, I'll invite friends over. We'll get pizza and we'll watch it on a loop, because as soon as he shot Sergeant Shaw, the entire classroom of young ROTC guys beat the fuck out of him. Beat the fuck out of him. Beat him to death with their bare hands. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I can promise that the last couple of seconds of that son of a bitch's life were not comfortable. Here, what do we have on it? The shootout at Virginia's Old Dominion University late Thursday morning was committed by a veteran and convicted ISIS supporter. He killed one person and injured 2 others before a classroom of ROTC students subdued and killed him. Guy was already arrested and was federally convicted for supporting ISIS, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Do we have... Yeah. All right, let's watch this is the FBI spokesperson for the FBI, who's there on the scene, talking about how this terrorist succumbed to his injuries. And here you go. Just listen to the way she put it.
There were students that were in that room that subdued him, and rendered him no longer alive. I'm not to say it, but they basically were able to terminate the threat. There were students that were in that room that subdued him, and
she doesn't know how to say it, because what she would like to say is they subdued him and they beat the fucking shit out of him, and now he's dead. That's what she wants to say, but she understands that she's got to put it a bit more artfully. So
there were students that were in that room that subdued him, and rendered him no longer alive. I'm not to say it, but they basically were able to terminate the threat.
They unalived him. That's great. That's a good thing to take into it's a good thing to take into a weekend, right? Just knowing that's satisfying. That's best thoughts for Sergeant Shaw and his family. And my God, but your boys did it. Sergeant Shaw, you can be proud of your boys and maybe some girls. I don't know how it works. They kicked the fuck out of that guy. I mean, just imagine like you know what I'm picturing? Here's what I'm picturing. Casino, where Joe Pesci and his brother are dragged out to the cornfield in Indiana and they just beat the shit. Curbing, stomping. I mean, what was it like when authorities got on the scene and this classroom of ROTC students beat the hell out of this terrorist who just burst in and killed their teacher? My God. What did the body look like when authorities showed? Was the head completely smashed? Did it look like a watermelon? You know what I mean? I don't like violence. I'm not a big fan of gore. But this is how terrorists need to be dealt with. And I don't think any right-thinking individual has a problem with this. I'm glad these boys were there, and I'm glad these boys did this. Fucking dummy. Taking on an entire ROT. I don't care if you got a gun. These are ROTC motherfuckers. They'll take a bullet, and the next wave, 5 dudes behind them are going to smash your head like a watermelon, you fucking scumbag. Excuse me. Excuse me for my language. Yeah, hold on. Gotta handle this. Oh my God. Guys, apropos of nothing, I've been talking all week about this this party that I'm going to tomorrow. It's a St. Patrick's Day party. It'll be fun, just a couple hours in the afternoon. I'm not a day drinker, so it's not going to be wild, but I'm going to see a whole bunch of people that I haven't seen in a while, and it's going to be fun. Now, I told you about how I've been saddled with a job. I'm like, how did I get a job at this party? I'm just a guest. Well, when you're close friends with the host, they sometimes ask, hey, can you bring some ice? Or can you know what I mean? In my case, it was, hey, can you find a leprechaun? I've been telling you about this bullshit all week about how I didn't know it was that hard to find a leprechaun. I thought it was, Anyway, I said, yeah, how much? And then they gave me a budget. And I'm like, that's a pretty good budget. That's a fucking great budget for 2 hours for someone to dress like a leprechaun. So my first thought 2 weeks ago was I'm going to go find myself an actor or a comedian, and we're going to rent a costume, and he's going to put some money in his pocket, and everybody's going to be happy. Because I was thinking of the leprechaun like, I don't know if you watch Notre Dame football, right? It's a human wearing a green suit with his beard dyed, and he's wearing a top hat. That's what a leprechaun looks like. But I couldn't get that. First of all, there is a limited number of leprechaun suits that are available here in the Chicago area. So the leprechaun suit itself was going to be a whole thing. And then finding the actor who was willing to do it, who could be appropriate, that was another thing. So what I ended up doing was I decided on Monday that, I didn't want to be 3 days out and not have a leprechaun. Guys, there was no reason that I should be this stressed out about trying to rent a leprechaun for my friend's party. So this week I decided that fuck it. I'm not going to deal with, comics and actors who can't be depended upon. I am going to just call like one of these character places. I'm going to call it, but if a kid wants a Power Ranger at a birthday party, there are places you can call. So I start calling these places, and I find this place. And I get a leprechaun, right? And I'm like, do you guys do leprechaun characters? And it's like, we sure do. I'm like, I need a leprechaun to show up at a party for 2 hours. And they're like, okay, we can do that. So I get me the leprechaun. This was the last update I gave you. This was like on Wednesday. Leprechaun secured. I can stop worrying about the leprechaun situation. All right, now back to the initial thing. The human in a suit, right? That's, I think, what everybody pictures when they think of a leprechaun. They think of you can see the human's face. It's his beard. It's the human's beard. Maybe it's a fake beard, but whatever. It's a beard, and it's just a dude in a green suit going, I'm a leprechaun. You won't be getting me Lucky Charms. That, right? That is what I think the expectation is. However, calling around to all these birthday party places, it turns out that might be culturally insensitive. They are doing that. They know every single place I called. I'm like, all right, so I just want, like a Notre Dame sideline dude to wear a green suit and be a leprechaun. We have leprechauns, but that's not how we do it. Like, why not? And they're like, well, yeah, this is it's more fun this way, the way we do it with the leprechaun. So in other words, it ain't gonna like. Worst case scenario, I was just going to get a green suit and be a leprechaun, dye my beard red or whatever, and I was going to be a leprechaun. Apparently, you can't do that. Apparently, it's not a thing. So I'm like, well, what do you got? And they're like, well, we'll send a leprechaun to your house. I'm like, all right. So here's what they're sending. I just got this text. And I don't know if this is going to work. I have no idea. All right, this is what we're getting. We got this guy. It's like a mascot. It's like something you'd see at Six Flags. It's not a dude in a suit. I mean, it's a dude in a shell. It's a dude with a head helmet. I wasn't expecting a head helmet. I thought it was just going to be a guy. So now I got this guy showing up to the party, and I don't know if the host is expecting just a normal human in a suit or this kind of thing. And what are the size restrictions? These are the things that now I'm sweating. Like, what are the size restrictions? This is in a house. Is this guy's suit going to be knocking over vases? And is it going to like bang into like walls and shit? How big and cumbersome is this? Oh, God. Guys, I should have never accepted the job of getting the leprechaun because I swear to God, it has been just 10 days of absolute hell. Why am I sweating this? Because I like to do a good job. Because I like to exceed expectations. And I just don't know. I think this guy's going to walk in. He's going to go, I thought you were just going to hire a guy in a suit. And then I'm going to be like, well, that's racially insensitive. How dare you, sir? I could probably get away with it because I'm 100% Irish. I can be like, yeah, whoa, what? Am I here to do a jig for you? I probably can't get too tough because he's a Jew. And, you know, he can fire back with all kinds of, oh, really? The Irish are talking about being marginalized? So we don't want to get into that. So anyway, I just received a text with that picture of that leprechaun. That's the leprechaun we're getting. Let's go. Maybe I will be day drinking tomorrow. Who knows? All right, let's move on. What else do we have here? Sorry, we got distracted there by the leprechaun story. Oh, okay. Do we have this? Did he say it? Is it something that he said? I don't know if we've got the audio of this. No, he didn't say it because it was in a Truth Social. So you know who I'm talking about. So we're talking about gas prices. Gas prices are going to go up. They're going to keep going up. They're, you know, they were going to go up anyway. Even the threat of war, they would go up because, again, the oil companies, they just, you know, they like to make their money ahead of time. They predict doom, and they say there's going to be doom in a month. Let's raise prices now so that we're not as badly affected by the doom. And then when the doom doesn't happen, they've still just raised prices and gotten us used to being, you know, fleeced again. So anyway, gas prices are going up. And, you know, Trump on the 27th, this was a speech that the president made on the 27th of last month, February. Remember, the war started on the 28th. So the president was making a speech somewhere. I don't know. Apparently he's on a world tour again. I don't know what he's doing, but he's out there. He's making speeches. Not campaigning for anything, but he's out there. He likes the attention. It's his thing. So on the 27th, apparently he went out and made a speech. And in this speech, not apparently, we've seen it everywhere, but he was touting the low Trump gas prices. Look at the gas prices. He was saying that I just saw 189 in Iowa. This was on the 27th. Touting a major accomplishment of his administration being the lowering of gas prices. Look at how low gas prices are going. And they were going down. And it was nice because that's really the lifeblood of the everyday middle American economy is how much is it going to cost me to drive there? That is a metric that we consider, working people consider, normal people consider these things. The president doesn't. So anyway, the president was touting this drop in gas prices as being, a big pat on the back to him and how smart his economic advisors are and all of that. That was on the 27th. The war started on the 28th. Here we are. Gas prices are up well over $1 in many places. I don't know about where you live, but here in the Chicago area, it is well over $1 from what it was. And now Trump on a Truth Social is saying that high gas prices are good. That, hey, remember, on the 27th, he was patting himself on the back going, look at how low the gas prices are. Well, now Trump put out on Truth Social that when oil prices go up, we make a lot more money. So, happy. Does he think that the average person who's pissed that they're now paying $3.50 a gallon, does he think that person is going to read this tweet and go, oh, okay, that makes it better. No. Who is the we that you are talking about making more money? Because I don't think I'm going to feel that in my pocket. Maybe you will with all the oil stocks you own in your but not me, not you, not the average person. We're not going to feel this. We're not going to benefit from these high oil prices. Only you and your like are. And this is another example of how he doesn't see us in the same way that he sees the other people in his little friend group. And maybe that's good because he probably sees all them as pedophiles. He doesn't see us as pedophiles. He sees us as potential victims. All right. So Trump is telling you, remember, when gas prices go up, that's good for us because we make a lot of money. President Trump argued the U.S. benefits when oil prices go up on Thursday, and growing concerns over the impact of Washington's operation in Iran on energy costs. Here's a quote now. The United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. All right, MAGA, go celebrate. Go celebrate and then spend over $100 filling up your tank. Go ahead, go celebrate because your guy is making a lot of money. I mean, it's a manipulation. It's well, God, again, Pugs, don't take the bait. Okay, right? So on the 27th, low gas prices are great. And look how awesome I am. And are you loving the low gas prices? And then here we are. Now he's saying, when gas prices go up, it's great. Isn't that great? Are you loving it? We're going to make so much money. All right. We'll just move on. Okay, here. All right, so we'll get into that. Since we're kicking Trump around a little bit, let's talk about this. This was funny. This is just a funny video, and I don't understand. It's just another example of how much we have changed. Here is the Kentucky rally from a couple of days ago, and in the next segment, we're going to really delve into the faces in the crowd. It'll be fun. The Kentucky rally was 3 days ago now, and Trump brought out, a whole bunch of like local candidates because we still got elections going on. And so Trump brings out this guy this is one of the candidates that is running as a Trump endorsed candidate, right? Okay. So let's watch this guy. Hold on, watch this. Hold on. Here we go. All right, here we go. So this is one of Trump's guys. This is a Kentucky congressional candidate.
I hope the fake news gets this. Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View. Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View. Mr. President, we stand with you. Fight, fight, fight! USA!
All right, here we go. This is my favorite part.
I'm telling you, that is the greatest candidate.
That is the greatest candidate. I'll tell you, that's my kind of candidate right there. All right. First of all, this guy, he's terrible at this. He's very uncomfortable. Let's talk about this candidate here. This candidate was probably a reasonable, normal person, probably held some very conservative views. He is, after all, a successful Kentuckian who is running for federal office. So I'm sure at some point he was kind of normal. He is out there now on the stage doing something that is not only completely the opposite of how he would naturally campaign, but he's doing it specifically to kiss the ass of another man sitting next to him. Here's what I love. Here's how you know that he's not comfortable with this and that this is all an act, because he's a terrible actor. Did you hear him say the first line of the joke twice? That's because he wasn't fully committed to the bit. That's because he doesn't really believe what he's saying. They're the guys with the view. The view. They're with the view. And we're with you. We're with you. Yeah, that's it. I got it right? It's fucking embarrassing, these people. One more time. Let's watch him. Let's watch him fucking completely trip over his dick trying to suck the asshole of the president.
News gets this. Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View.
All right, so that's the line. What he should have said was, Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View, and Mr. President, the rest of us stand with you. That's how you deliver that line. But this fucking guy is clowning the audience. This isn't really what he believes. It's just a stinger line that he thinks might sound good, and he fucking trips over it. He blows the line.
Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View. Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View. Mr. President, we
You already said that, idiot. You already said that.
stand with you. Fight!
All right, so now he knows it didn't go over because the timing of the way he said it didn't allow for the audience to applaud. He was right now in this moment with his hand raised. He expected the audience to give him a huge applause line for that, and he got nothing. So now he's overcompensating. He's using the expected energy of the crowd roaring and going, except they're not roaring. So he just looks awkward, like he's trying to convince them. So he switches mid-chant. He switches to USA, knowing that these fucking programmed morons, they hear USA, they're USA, USA. That's what he's banking on now. So let's watch this play out again. These frauds.
He stands with the ladies of the View. Tom Massey stands with the ladies of the View. Mr. President, we stand with you. Fight, fight, fight! USA!
Trump. Look at him. He's the best.
I'm telling you, that is the greatest candidate.
That is the greatest candidate. Said nothing. He's the greatest candidate because here's what he did. He threw out an insult and then asked the crowd to chant. I'll tell you, that's the greatest candidate. That's what MAGA's about right there. That motherfucker's going to lose by 20 points. I promise you. That guy's going to lose by 20 points. He's not all bought in. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay. So from that very same rally, you may have seen, Trump does this a lot. He likes to put people behind him. So, well, I mean, I don't know. I was going to say, is that something that most political candidates do? But we've never really seen people do these kinds of events the way Trump does. So I don't know, whatever. But he's always got people behind him. And those people are always placed there deliberately by campaign staffers. That's why they all always have the same signs. They didn't bring those signs. They were handed those signs and they were told to sit there. That's how this is done. It's about optics. It's about what do the people who are supporting you that are going to be on camera, what do they look like? How do they act? So those people are almost specifically chosen, almost like, a rock band that's trying to bang the hot groupies before the concert starts. They get a little pass and they're put in a certain area. So that's who those people behind him are. They are selected by political operatives for the value of what they can be worth on camera. Oh, look at those normal looking people. All right, that didn't happen in Kentucky. So the crowd behind him, as I said yesterday, somebody put up a panoramic kind of picture where you saw the whole crowd, and all they said in the tweet was, just zoom in on the faces. And I'm like, oh no. So I zoom in on the faces. Look at these people. This is what's left of MAGA. Now, I know it's Kentucky, and maybe Mississippi could be worse, Arkansas possibly, but Kentucky's gonna have its fair share of doke inbreds, right? But holy shit. All right, look at these people. I want to show you these. We call this MAGA faces in the crowd. All right, let me just zoom in on some of these people. And look, I know I'm not some great looking, handsome dude, but I'm at least, all right, let's start with these guys. Here we go. All right, again, just random. Now I ask you, looking at this random just screen grab from the crowd behind Trump, what do you set the over-under at as far as future mass shooters? I see at least, I'm going to set the over-under on future mass shooters at 3.5. You tell me, are you taking the over or the under? Don't worry. We're going to get into this. What is this? What is this going on here? What is this guy? What is this guy? Look at him. what do you think this guy is like? You're at the gas station in line behind him. Look at the look at the choices. The Dahmer glasses. I don't know what kind of hat this is. He's wearing all black. He's very buttoned up like a good SS boy. I mean, I'm just telling you, if this guy walks into a mall and kills some people, none of us should be surprised. Look at him. All right. And you got this guy. Look at this guy. Inbred. Look at this inbred. This guy, I don't know. The hat kind of makes him look inbred. This guy definitely in. Look at this guy. He doesn't even know where to look. He's like, Luke. How about not doing beard hair, huh? I know I got a little bit of a beard here. Neck hair. That's a problem. But this guy just staring dead at the camera. I'm telling you guys, we will hear from this guy again. This guy will pop back up somewhere, somehow, and you'll remember that you saw him first. All right, look at this. Oh, Jesus, look at these people. Look at this guy. What is this? All right, retarded. I'm sorry, inbred. Look at this guy. This guy can't even find. I know. Pugs, what do you say? It's just a snapshot. It's just a random snapshot. You can't tell me that I just happened to catch these people all looking like inbred weirdos. Look at this guy. Someone get this kid up in a fucking tree with a banjo. That is the banjo kid from Deliverance. Would you look at this kid? There you go. Are you still MAGA? Because them's your peoples. Them's your peoples. It's time to start leaning into guilt by association. It's got to be made absolutely clear that there is nothing dignified or cool about being MAGA in 2026. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Pugs, that's just Kentucky. And it might be. That might be. When he goes to other places, you see him talking in, maybe like someplace in Texas or Houston, then you get the big tits and the fucking blonde hair and the hot chicks behind him. That's good. Kentucky ain't got many of that. So, I guess maybe that's all we can deal with. Anyway, there you go. That's our Faces in the MAGA Crowd segment. Dude, seriously, the kid with the hat, that's the kid from Deliverance. That is the kid straight from Do we need to do side-by-sides? All right, we're going to do side-by-sides. That's what we're doing. We're going to show you the kid from Deliverance, and then I'm going to show you this guy. Why not? We got time. It's Friday. Oh, we don't really have a lot of time. We've got stuff to do. All right, I just want to show you this. All right, kid from Deliverance. Oh, there's no way to do it side-by-side. All right, never mind. Never mind. All right, cancel that. Anyway, the kid from Deliverance is alive and well, and he supports Trump. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right, one more time. We'll kick Trump in the nuts today, and then we'll move on, okay? Because I thought this was funny. Mockery. I love the mockery. He doesn't like to be mocked. He doesn't like when people that he thinks are cool make fun of him. And I don't know if he thinks Jimmy Fallon is cool. He probably does, because Jimmy Fallon isn't cool, and so that is why Trump would think he is cool. But Jimmy Fallon is famous, so maybe that's enough to get under his skin. But I thought this was pretty funny. Jimmy Fallon, an example of boy, a lot of you guys were real vocal when it was Biden. A lot of you guys were like, "This is the sign that he's having a stroke. Look at him. He slurred his words. He's having a stroke." Why do you people not have the same sort of reaction when you see Trump? Here's Jimmy Fallon. Here is Trump being as bad as Biden ever.
Daily attacks on Iran's military infrastructure, or as he calls it,
infrastructure. Sure.
Trump claims the U.S. has greatly reduced Iran's defenses. If you look at the statistics, or as he calls them,
statistics.
Gas prices have already gone way up, but Trump swears they'll come down significantly, or as he puts it,
to come down significantly.
And the whole thing is also affecting Iran's neighbors, like the United Arab Emirates, or as he calls it,
the United Arab Emirates is...
It's all enough to give you a headache and make you reach for the acetaminophen, or as he calls it.
I said, well, let's see how we say that.
All right, I got to stop it here. This is another example of how he isn't like us. Every single one of us can look at a bottle and see the ACE, and immediately our brain goes to, that's acetaminophen. We've been taking that our whole life because we are self-sufficient efficient people who, when we have a headache, we go to the store and we buy something. So we have seen that word acetaminophen before. This guy, as I pointed out, has never pumped his own gas, has never gone to a grocery store. Every time he's had a headache, he has called somebody who has delivered him little white pills that he takes. He has no fucking idea that ACE, big word, because we all do that when we see a big word. We start to panic a little bit like, oh my God, what does it mean? But when it's a familiar word that we have seen routinely in our lives because we're normal people, we know it's acetaminophen. This fucker has never held a bottle of aspirin before. He has only been handed aspirin when he has a headache. He is not like us. He does not see you as an equal. He sees you as a lesser. Watch him try and say acetaminophen.
Iran's neighbors, like the United States. It's all enough to give you a headache and make you reach for the acetaminophen, or as he calls it.
I said, well, let's see how we...
Anybody else would have looked at it, seen the ACE and gone acetaminophen, but no, he has to go, oh, well, let's see. Let's try and pronounce this word. Never seen it before.
Say that.
Acetaminophen, or as he calls it.
I said, well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen.
Even some Republicans are against the war, but so far they've chosen to remain anonymous, or as Trump calls them,
anonymous, really anonymous.
But Trump says he wants a victory that's undisputed, or as he calls it,
Undisputed. You just...
Tell me about Biden again. Come on. Tell me about Biden again, about how that was just completely unacceptable to you.
In the end, Trump said that he'll do what he has to do for the United States, or as he calls it,
The United States.
Put that
All right, there you go. Come on, man. All I want is for people to be fair. All I want are the die-hard, dick-slurping MAGA people out there to just at least go, yeah, he's as bad as Biden. Biden did that too. But you won't, because you're not honest brokers. All right, let's keep going. Let me see here. We'll do this. All right. A favorite of Jimmy Fallon. This is how they roll together. Katy Perry is in the news. I just want to show this. We're going to spend a lot of time on this, but we'll talk a little bit about Katy Perry, who, I don't know. Pugs, what's your hot take on Katy Perry? Big hoots, right? She's got nice hoots. Pretty when she's Katy Perry'd up, but when she's just normal, she's not as, Katy Perry's not as hot. Like if Katy Perry never became a pop star and she was just a chick who lived in Indiana, she'd be like, okay, but not Katy Perry hot. Anyway, I don't have a problem with her. I like one of her songs. Don't know what it is. Actually, I think I like two of them. She did that song Roar. I think that's a good song. That's got a good anthemic kind of thing. She got a song about fireworks or something. I think that's another good one. All right. I got no hatred for Katy Perry. I got no, one way or the other. She was married to Russell Brand. Okay, wait a second. That actually kind of, I think less of her because she married Russell Brand. I mean, it's not like he wasn't a known commodity. So maybe I do have a bit of maybe I don't respect her. There you go. I don't respect her, but outside of that, I don't really have a problem. Katy Perry's being slammed online for responding to a fan, and she's being called insensitive. Her post is being described as grim, and people are saying that this is just proof that Katy Perry is truly evil. Is she like the daughter of a Christian preacher or something? I thought she was raised like super religious. Anyway, she's truly evil. So here's what happened. So apparently a Katy Perry fan was on Twitter or something, Instagram, probably Instagram. This feels very Instagram. Katy Perry fan was on Instagram and she was talking about how financially she's struggling and things are really hard. And she's going to have to sell her Katy Perry ticket. Katy Perry fan goes online looking to make a little money. She's like, I'm gonna have to sell my Katy Perry ticket. All right, so here's how that went down. The quote now says, I so badly don't want to be here anymore. I'm not cut out for this world. I cannot afford to live at this rate, and I'm so close to selling my Katy tickets, the person wrote. All right. Katy Perry herself replied to this girl. Remember, this girl said, I so badly don't want to be here anymore. I'm not cut out for this world. Like, I cannot afford to live at this rate. And I'm so close to selling my Katy tickets. Katy Perry personally responded to this fan who is obviously having this moment of difficulty and distress. And Katy Perry wrote back to her, but I'm so looking forward to seeing you. That's all. That's all. She just wrote, but I'm so looking forward to seeing you. So because of this, everybody is now saying, oh my God, remember, truly evil. That's what she said. Are you thinking there's more? There's not more. That's what she said. That's being called truly evil, grim, heartless. And let me tell you something. That's bullshit. I don't know what they think Katy Perry is supposed to do, but Katy Perry randomly saw a fan who's going through something and made personal contact. Now, I know it's not personal contact, but it is pretty fucking cool that if you're just a rando fan of Katy Perry out there and you're lamenting selling your tickets, and then Katy Perry herself climbs into the feed and goes, but I'm looking forward to seeing you. That's got to make you feel special. I don't understand why she's being called evil and all that. One person said that Katy Perry should have offered to pay her bills. Are you fucking kidding me? You can't set that precedent if you're Katy Perry. The fact that Katy Perry herself saw that there was a fan here saying this and then reached out to her and said something that I gotta believe would make a Katy Perry fan feel good. If you're a fan of Katy Perry and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, Katy is saying she wants to see me, that's nice. It's not evil. It's not grim. Katy Perry is not a bad person for this. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that she's actually probably a nice person for taking the time to read these things from her fans and then actually getting involved and saying, but I really want to see you. Or it's sweet. It isn't much, but it's something when absolutely nothing was the expectation. And people who are saying that Katy Perry should take care of her, fuck you, get out of here. The fact that she actually showed interest in something, a problem, and just said, hey, but I want you to be there, that's fucking kindness. Am I reading this wrong? I mean, unless you completely expect her that if she's going to make an appearance that she's got to change this girl's life. I mean, unless that's your expectation, then maybe this does seem to fall a little flat. But again, the expectation was nothing. This girl didn't expect, this Katy Perry fan didn't expect to reach Katy Perry. She wasn't adding at Katy Perry. No, this is a thrill. It's a nice thing. And it probably made somebody who sounds like they were a little bit upset and going through something feel pretty fucking good about themselves. And who knows? And then Katy Perry responds. So then the girl who puts the initial post, maybe she responds now to Katy Perry. I don't know how it went. I don't know if they got into a conversation, but it opens up that, and that's nice. So again, I don't really have a hot take on Katy Perry other than nice hoots. She gets dropped down for marrying Russell Brand. But this does not make her evil. This just makes her seem like somebody who saw a fan in distress and wanted to make her day. Because she understands that I'm Katy Perry and the fan is a peasant. And the peasant is going to be very thrilled that Katy Perry actually even knows they exist. So, I mean, good for good. It's not a problem. Adam's got some thoughts here on the Katy Perry thing. Adam says she was canceled by a lot of people for working with a known abuser on her last album. Yeah. So she's canceled by a lot of fucking idiots. That's sorry. A known abuser. Oh, stop it. I get you though. Yeah, Mama B had this observation from when we were listening to Trump having troubles. It is his dentures. She says his dentures are falling out and he can't read. That is the combination that we see in a lot of these instances. He can't read. He's not good at reading. Remember, he used to be like, I don't use a teleprompter because you can't. Because you can't use a teleprompter. You are terrible at reading off a teleprompter, dude. You are good at freeballing. You are good at just going, hey, where are my black people at? That's your secret sauce. So don't try and be teleprompter guy. And we know it's because you can't read. But also the dentures. The dentures fall out all the time on him. Like he starts to talking and they start to move and he panics and he can't pronounce the word right. That's what happened with the last one, I think, United States, when he said United States because his teeth were falling out. All right, I get it. Just say Tylenol. Yeah, acetaminophen. It's Tylenol. Most of us do call it Tylenol. But when we see that word, that very intimidating word, ACE, I don't even know how to spell it. But when I see that long ass word with like 20 letters in it, and it starts with the ACE and it's on a little pill bottle, I know it's acetaminophen. I know that's how I don't even have to read the rest of the word. I'll just pronounce it that way and I'll be right. All right, Katy Perry. Let's see. All right, should we do our Oscar picks? Why not? Hooray for Hollywood. As I said, it's Conan O'Brien. Is that who's doing the Oscars this year? Conan O'Brien? All right, that's right. I got to take a piss. All right, excuse me. Oh my God, was that vulgar? Why did I say it like that? Well, you know why? Because I feel so comfortable around you guys. It's like we're buddies. We're just sitting at the bar talking. And I'm like, I got to take a piss. All right. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to get myself a little bit of coffee. So give me a couple of seconds here. Not going to be a long one. We'll come back. We'll do Oscar noms. We got a whole bunch more stuff to do today on a Friday. Remember, our executive producer of today's show, because the big tipper of yesterday was the greatest chat room in the game. Thank you guys so much. We didn't make our stated goal for the month, but I thought we were going to be like $100 short, and we're not. We're like 25. So it's close. It's so close that it's like not even worth putting it on you guys. I'll go sell blood. It's stuck. Okay, it's stuck. All right. The button is stuck. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. We'll get the button fixed. Let me get a cup of coffee and then go to the restroom like a gentleman. All right. Here we are. We're back. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to the combined efforts of the greatest chat friends in the game. Thank you. Appreciate the break. All right. Let's see. We're going to do I had an issue with the thing locked up. My Zoom box locked up. So it was a little bit longer of a break there than I'd anticipated, but I appreciate you giving me the time to get everything that we need to do. All right, Sunday is the Oscars, the Academy Awards. How many of these movies have you seen? I want to ask the chat room right now of the big. No, you know what? Here's what I want to know. Here's what I'm going to ask the chat room right now, and I would hope that each and every one of you might reply if you can. What was the best movie you saw last year? What was the best movie you saw last year? It doesn't have to be one that's nominated. That's what they're telling us were the best movies, but they don't tell us what we enjoy. So I'd like to know, what was the best movie that you saw last year? You can use any context for it. You can say, I enjoyed it the most. Maybe that's all you need from a movie, right? Best movie that you saw last year. That's what I want to know. All right. And then we'll get into the big Oscars. These are the films that we're supposed to have enjoyed. If we are cultured, then we will certainly enjoy the what's the movie that I tried to watch that everybody's like, it's gonna win. It's so Sentimental Value or something. First of all, it's all like Swedish people. What? This movie's about Swedish people? It's the story of two sisters who must come together after long absences to care for their aging father, who was once a prominent film director. No thanks. Stars Stellan Skarsgård. Anyway, people say it's good. I don't know that that's necessarily what you and I and the regular people would be like, that was the best movie of the year. So I would be interested to see in the chat room. You guys tell me what you think the best film of the year is. And we'll go through the big categories here for Sunday's Oscars. Again, Sunday, what channel is it on? I don't know. I have no idea what channel the Oscars were on. That used to be a big deal. It was always NBC. Johnny Carson used to host it, and then it became ABC, I think, and then Billy Crystal hosted it. The Oscar hosts of my life, when I think of like who are the two Oscar hosts, like not two, but when I imagine I had close your eyes and picture the Oscars, I picture either being hosted by Billy Crystal, who seems to have hosted it for 10 years in the 80s, and then Johnny Carson, who hosted it for, my very first, 5 or 6 turns at watching the Oscars every year. I remember the first Oscars that I watched. I remember when I caught the Oscar bug. I don't have it anymore. I've been cured because who the hell cares about that stuff now? But when I was a kid, I told you there were 2 things yesterday. I said there were 2 things as a kid that were the big TV moments of the year. And they happened right around the same time. You had the Super Bowl in January. Yeah, the Super Bowl used to be in January. Now it's in February because more money. But you'd have the Super Bowl in January, and then you had the Oscars in March. The Oscars are still in March. They haven't changed that. They haven't figured out a way to make more money by extending it 2 weeks further into the month. But, they will if there's a way. Super Bowl and the Oscars. I still watch the Super Bowl, although not in the same way I once did. And I don't watch the Oscars at all. I just think that it's long, it's boring. And I think they know it too. So maybe I should check it out because apparently there's a lot of changes to the telecast this year. Wasn't the COVID Oscars, wasn't that one that we all really kind of liked because it was just everybody in boxes in their homes? Remember that? Remember COVID Awards? I thought that was interesting. I tuned in for those. But again, that was a one-off, and so I tuned in just to see what that looked like. But I don't know. I don't have any great expectations. Here's how I'll do it. Do you know what I will watch? Here's what I will watch. I will watch the red carpet before. Oh, I love that shit. Oh my God. If you love petty, if you love, bullshit, if you love people just, grotesquely shining each other on and then being like, it's very Real Housewives at the highest level. The Oscars red carpet is the Real Housewives at the highest level. Now, it is never going to be as good as it was 25, 30 years ago when it was Joan Rivers just ripping the fuck out of everybody because she gave no shits. That's when it was good. Do you remember when Joan Rivers used to stand out there and somebody would walk by, some big A-list celebrity, and Joan Rivers with her she was on E! Network, Joan Rivers with her E microphone, big star. Who would it be? What's the name of star? Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver walks by in 1996 and Joan Rivers goes, "What are you wearing? I don't like it. You look like a sausage stuffed in casings that's too small." She was great. That's actually something that she said once. That's why I don't know who she applied it to, but she said to some star, you look like a sausage meat stuffed into a casing that's too small." I just thought, yeah. And then, of course, she got fired. They were like, "You're too mean." And then for the next 20 years, we're all like, "Can we get the mean old lady back? Why'd you get rid of the mean old lady?" She didn't give any fucks. Anyway, the red carpet is still something that I watch. Now it's just generic, gorgeous women. Like, I promise you, I don't know who's hosting the red carpet, the pre-show, but it'll be a woman who is an absolute Ferrari who you've never seen before. I don't know if she's like a local weather girl in Los Angeles or maybe some spare from what's left of the E network. I don't know, but it's always just some absolutely gorgeous woman. And she looks like $1 million. And then she talks to all the other actresses who look like $1 million. And she always looks better. Seriously, that's my favorite part. When the no-name interviewer is just outshining the star. Look at her. So we've got that. Anyway, it's not as interesting as when it was Joan. And then remember Joan added Melissa? Then she was dragging her kid along to it. She's like, "This is how you be mean, Melissa." Anyway, I still like that. I still like the red carpet. I like to see everybody in their, pre-show nerves and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so Conan is hosting. This is probably how I'll do the Oscars this year. I'll probably watch some of the red carpet while online, because I get to watch the red carpet and follow on Twitter and, so I'll be doing that. Not the whole red carpet, because it's like the Super Bowl. It's like, we start 3 hours before. I'm like, dude, I don't need to see who's that guy? Who's the guy that's super famous that I don't acknowledge as being famous? He's in those commercials with like Jeff Bridges and like Rosario Dawson. And my son is like, he's the most famous of them all. And I'm like, Drewski. That's who it is. Right? Isn't that an influencer? Drewski. Right. So I don't need to tune in 3 hours early to see Drewski arrive. Right. I'll tune in about a half hour. That's when the big stars make the big red carpet watch, and I'll watch that. And then I'll watch Conan. I'll watch Conan's monologue. I'll watch whatever pre-produced bit that Conan's going to do, because I promise you, Conan's going to have great writers. Conan is funny. I love Conan. All right. So, and then I'll bail. They'll do the first. I'll probably watch the first category, because the first category is always a big one. What are you talking about, Pugs? They don't get to the big ones until the end. No, they don't. They start off with a big one. Like, they'll start off with like best supporting actor or something. And then it'll be 20 categories of nothing you care about. Nothing. They don't start out with set design. They hit the ground running. They start out with a celebrity in a fairly large category. And so I'll probably watch that. And then I'll move on, because honestly, I don't give a shit about any of the other categories. All right, let's do the picks, right? Let's see if you are playing on any of the prediction markets, or maybe there are some straight up gambling markets where you can place bets on this. I don't know. Let me give you the winners. Now, here's all I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you best actor. I'm going to give you best actress. I'm going to give you best supporting actor. I'm going to give you best supporting actress. I'm going to give you best film, and I'm going to give you best director and best screenwriter. That's it. That's it. We ain't doing any other categories. Those are the important categories. And you may even make a case that Pugs, nobody cares about screenwriters. I do. The screenwriter is the screenwriter. Nobody cares about the screenwriter. Oh, yeah. Nobody cares about the guy who looked at a blank page and then fucking started the whole idea of this thing that we're celebrating. That's what the screenwriter does. Screenwriter is the most important person. It's his story. It came out of his brain. The fuck is wrong with you people? All right. So let's go through the picks. I'm going to give you who the winners are. I used to be pretty good at this. I don't know if I'm good at this anymore. I don't know. I've seen now when the nominees first came out, I did a quick little, all right, here's what I think, but I hadn't seen a lot of them. So now I've seen enough of them. So let's go. Best picture. We'll start with the best picture, because why not? Hit the ground running. Here's what we got. Chat room, again, I'm asking you, tell me what the best movie is that you saw last year, and I want to sort of compare. All right. Here is what we're being told are the best films from last year. Big category. There was a time when I was growing up when there were only 4. It was only 4 films 4 actors, 4 actresses. Now, because they churn up more interest. Now they've expanded the category. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 for Best Picture. I don't have a problem with that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think 4 is probably too small. Because, you got to include some movies that people actually enjoyed and not just have a category filled with films nobody's ever going to see. The only person who saw this film is that weird guy who's dating your niece. All right. First Best Picture nominee is Begonia. Begonia. I saw Begonia. I love Begonia. Who was talking about Begonia yesterday? Love Begonia. Second film that's nominated. Begonia is the story of, I won't spoil it for you. It's a couple of crazy people think that a big famous person is an alien and they kidnap the big famous person, and that's Begonia. That's the story of Begonia. It is really fun. I love it. But I'm in the tank for both Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, and they're the 2 stars of it. So regardless of whether or not Begonia wins, if you see it, I think you'll enjoy it. It's like really high-end, good actors, and it's a fun, kind of weird story. And again, it's got a spoiler-worthy ending. So, Begonia, that's the first film nominated for Best Picture. The second film nominated for Best Picture at this Sunday's Oscars, F1. F1. Brad Pitt. One of them Spanish actors that we made famous. I don't know. It's Brad Pitt and I don't know. It ain't Pedro. Javier Bardem. There we go. That's who it is. Javier Bardem. And then a whole bunch of nobodies. I don't know, maybe Robert Duvall, or am I thinking Days of Thunder? I don't know. F1 is a film about F1 racing, Formula One racing. I'm a big fan of Formula One. My son and I went and saw this over there at the Mockingbird Station Movies. We went and saw it, I think the opening weekend, or maybe it was the second weekend. I don't know. I think there was some controversy. But my son and I, big F1 fans, were very excited about this film. And the reason that I asked you in the chat room to tell me what your favorite movie of the year was, because quite frankly, F1 might be my favorite movie of the year. I think it's the movie I enjoyed the most. It is the movie that, me and my kid, when it was over, we were like, that was pretty good. And I've seen it twice. I've seen it now that it's playing on cable. I don't know that F1 rises to the level of award-winning filmmaking, but I will tell you something. The racing scenes were some of the greatest racing scenes I've ever seen, and the acting was good, and the story was fine. F1 is the second nominated film for Best Picture this year. Frankenstein. Didn't see it. Didn't see Frankenstein. I think maybe because my mom spoiled it for me. My mom watched it. My mom has great taste in films, and I usually trust her when she says something's good. And I said, so you watched Frankenstein last night? She goes, yeah. And I go, did you like it? And she goes, no. And I go, what didn't you like about it? And she just looked at me and she said, since when does Dr. Frankenstein have a brother? Okay. That took my mom out of it. She didn't. My mom's a Mary Shelley fan, and this whole thing. So she was not a fan of Frankenstein. That's all I have to go on. Frankenstein is the third nominated film for Best Picture. It joins F1 and Begonia. How about Hamnet? I still haven't seen Hamnet. I love Shakespeare, and Hamnet is the story of Shakespeare's son, whose name was Hamnet, who was the inspiration for the Shakespeare play Hamlet, a play that I really like, but I kind of don't have any interest in the etymology of the story of Hamlet. I really don't. And I'm like, know that it's a movie I should watch. It's got people in it that I really like, right? It's got Paul Mescal. I think Paul Mescal, he plays William Shakespeare. It's got Jessie Buckley. Jessie Buckley, who I guess plays his wife. Let's call her, I don't know, Amber Shakespeare. Amber Shakespeare is played by Jessie Buckley. She's terrific in everything. So that's like a reason for me to watch it, because she's fucking a great young actress. So I don't know. I promised myself that I would see Hamnet before the Oscars. So maybe Saturday night after the Leprechaun debacle party that I have to go to Saturday afternoon. All right, there you have it. Hamnet, Frankenstein, F1, and Begonia, the best pictures. Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme is Josh Safdie. No longer the Safdie brothers, but just Josh Safdie. He's gone out on his own. He's made his first movie since Uncut Gems. And it's Marty Supreme. It is the story. It is a period piece set in the 1950s, starring Timothée Chalamet, Timothy Chalamet, who basically burst onto the scene because I believe Shia LaBeouf couldn't be trusted. I think Shia LaBeouf was supposed to be what Timothy Chalamet is now, but Shia LaBeouf completely shit the bed, and they went, we need another one. We need somebody else. And that's when we started to amplify Timothy Chalamet. And now I would say Timothy Chalamet is in Leonardo DiCaprio territory. He is far surpassed Shia LaBeouf, who's being routinely arrested down there in Louisiana. And Timothy Chalamet is now nominated for the second time in a row. Marty Supreme. Timothy Chalamet plays a kid in a guy, a fast-talking kind of a grifter guy in the 1950s who has a dream of being the greatest ping pong player in the world. That's Marty Supreme. Very good movie. Very, very good. I really, really enjoyed Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme joins Hamnet, Frankenstein, F1, and Begonia. They say Marty Supreme's a sports movie. It's a sports movie. And I'm like, it's about ping pong. And they're like, yeah, it's a sports movie. And I'm like, all right. One Battle After Another is the next one. Paul Thomas Anderson. Everybody knows that I love two people when it comes to filmmaking. I love me some Stanley Kubrick and I love me some Paul Thomas Anderson. Oh, of course, I like Scorsese and Quentin as well. But, it's really those two who have distinguished themselves as guys who can make a movie that I'm going to love. And Paul Thomas Anderson's latest is One Battle After Another, stars Leonardo DiCaprio, stars Chase Infinity, stars Sean Penn, it is the story. And I think a lot of people maybe don't want to see this because, well, politics being what they are. One Battle After Another focuses on a group of far left terrorists, a far left terrorist group that's been around forever. And Leonardo DiCaprio is like a guy who used to be in it, but now he's not in it anymore. But now he's got to use those resources because his daughter's been kidnapped. One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson, is such a fun movie. It is, fun. I mean, there are graphic rape scenes, and Sean Penn plays one of the scariest MFers I've ever seen in a film. But if you haven't seen One Battle After Another, I loved it. So now the question becomes, I've already said that I liked Begonia. I said I truly enjoyed F1, didn't see Frankenstein, Hamnet haven't seen yet, and I loved Marty Supreme and One Battle After Another. So for me, it's coming down to One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, F1, and Begonia so far. Okay? All right. The next one is The Secret Agent. Never heard of it. Don't have a clue what it is. Probably won't see it. Watch it, win everything, and I'll be like, oh, no, I got to fucking see this movie. You know who did that to me? Parasite. Remember Parasite a couple of years ago, the Korean movie that won for Best Picture? I never saw that. I watched all the other movies. I'm not going to see some Korean movie. It's not going to win. And then it won. And like the next night I watched Parasite. And I was like, holy fuck, I should have watched that before. That was the best movie of the year. Parasite was awesome. I never enjoyed a movie so much that I just read everything. It was all subtitles, but it was really good. So who knows? Maybe that'll be the case with Secret Agent. We'll see. Sentimental Value is the next film. Sentimental Value is it's the one I told you I tried to watch. Two sisters coming back together to care for their aging director father. Yeah, no thank you. Oh, and it's in Sweden or wherever the fuck it is, Norway, Netherlands. No thank you. That's Sentimental Value. Sinners. Sinners is the vampire movie. Sinners. A lot of people love Sinners. I haven't seen Sinners. You know why I haven't seen Sinners? Because I never took Sinners seriously. Sinners has been available since midsummer. Like you didn't have, I think Sinners came out in the movies like, early summer, maybe something like that. I don't know. But it's been available to see on multiple platforms for a long time now, Sinners. And so I think I took it for granted. I think I was always like, oh, I can see that. Yeah, I'll see it whenever. Because people are like, Sinners is good. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I remember two movies that people had been telling me were really good that I needed to see. Sinners and Weapons. And I've seen Weapons. I chose Weapons, and Weapons isn't nominated for Dick. So I will probably end up seeing Sinners, but I can't weigh it against these other films because I haven't seen it. The next one is Train Dreams. Train Dreams looks awful. Train Dreams, it's the magnificent sweeping story of one man's life pursuit to what? Build a cabin in the woods or something? He works on train tracks in the 1800s. I am going to run away from that fucking storyline as quickly as possible. No thank you on Train Dreams. All right, before I make my pick here, let me go to the chat room because I did ask a whole bunch of you to tell me what the best movie of the year or what your favorite movie of the year was. All right, all I wanted was... All right, Adam is chiming in. That's it. The only part, that's it. All right, I guess we ain't doing this. We only got one guy. Of all the people, you guys in the chat room, one person was like, oh, here's the movie that I saw. All right, Adam says, I've seen most of them. I still need to see Hamnet and Marty Supreme. Okay. Best movie, Adam says Sinners. This is hard for me because Adam is saying it. And Adam is like a lefty, and of course he's going to like the Minority movie that's a vampire movie, and I just can't get behind a fucking horror vampire, a summer release vampire movie for Best Picture. That's why I just can't. And he's like, it was the best movie. So maybe he's right. Or maybe Adam is just like, I'm going to support the all-black film. I don't know. Because Adam, you have been that way. So I don't know if that's legit or not. He says best movie is Sinners. His favorite movie was Sinners. And then One Battle After Another and Weapons. I guess those are his three. I really liked Weapons. I really thought Weapons was cool. Leslie C says ABC. I don't know what that is. Is it like the ABC network? Oh, ABC is is ABC where the Oscars are on. Thank you, Leslie. There we go. See, sometimes I gotta. Adam goes on to say he has Sinners as the best picture, Paul Thomas Anderson as best director, Ryan Coogler for best adapted screenplay. That's the guy for Sinners. I got to see Sinners. I really do. But I wonder. Never mind. I don't want to go into this because it just triggers people that I don't really need to trigger. Adam says Michael B. Jordan as best actor, Jessie Buckley as best actress. That's the chick from Hamnet. You said you haven't seen Hamnet. Adam, did you say you haven't seen Hamnet yet? And you've got Jessie Buckley as best actress? It's a loss of credibility. Sean Penn is best supporting actor. Amy Madigan is best supporting actress. That's the cool thing about Weapons. Amy Madigan, who hasn't really done anything in movies in a long time, she came back and played a very against type role for Amy Madigan. It's creepy. She's not even in it. She got a best supporting actress nomination. Is she in more than 3 scenes? Does she occupy more than say 5 minutes of screen time? I don't know. There's the scene in Weapons where she goes to the school and has a conversation with the teacher or the principal. But that's the longest time, right? I don't know. Maybe I got to see it again. I just remember being shocked, but also pleased that Amy Madigan got a best supporting actress. I was pleased because I like Amy Madigan. It's good to see her back. But I was shocked because I didn't think she had that much to lift in the film. She was a shocking, pivotal character in the film, but not an important character to the actual plot, as we viewed the movie. I don't know. Those are interesting choices, Adam. I did my thing with my fat finger again. Oh, fat finger boy. He also says that Leo is getting a ton of, no, I'm sorry, April. Let me go to April. Somebody else other than Adam. April says One Battle After Another because I haven't seen the other. Gotta be honest. Adam says Leo is getting a ton of buzz lately, mostly because Timothy has said a lot of dumb shit lately. What's Timothy Chalamet? I'm not following, but what is he? I don't doubt that. Timothy Chalamet is a little hard to take. I think he's a little bit too. I don't know. He's a good actor. Timothy Chalamet has been good in everything, and it's I don't want to like him, but I like him as an actor. He was great as Bob Dylan. He was great. I've seen that movie twice now too. That he was really good, and I didn't expect to like that. But that movie is a movie I really liked. And Marty Supreme shocked me. The only reason I saw Marty Supreme was because I was such a fan of the way Uncut Gems looked and made me feel. The Safdie brothers and Uncut Gems had this way of editing, the way they shot. It was very tense. It was very edge of your seat. And I love that. I love when a director can intentionally make the audience member feel something, have some emotional thing that they don't know what to do with. That's great filmmaking. That's art. Anyway, so I like the Safdie. So that's why I watched Marty Supreme, and I was very thrilled by it. I was pleasantly surprised. More so, I really liked that movie. Adam says there's like a 15-year age difference between Timothée Chalamet and, well, of course. What do you think they were going to get somebody the same age? They go younger. Shia LaBeouf, they've been waiting for him to pop for 15 years. Finally, they're like, let's move on. Let's start again. Let's get somebody. And it's Timothée Chalamet. Of course, they're different ages. Of course, one's younger. They went with the new guy. They're like, let's get the new guy. Adam goes on to say Amy Madigan is a slight favorite for Best Supporting Actress for Weapons. He says, I don't like vampire movies, but he loved Sinners. And Mama B, here we go. Sorry, Adam, but, I appreciate you participating. I really do. I just wish other people wouldn't. When they do, I've got to give them their time. Mama B says she likes Sinners, too. I like Sinners, too. Went into it not knowing it was a vampires. Usually not my cup of tea. All right, I'll see Sinners. I will see Sinners. Sinners, I guess I have to see. Maybe I'll see it tonight. We'll see it tonight. All right, let's go back to, again, I want to hear more. If you're in the chat room, tell me what movies you enjoyed the most this past year. Maybe you didn't see any movies. All right, Best Picture. Let me give you my pick. Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. It's down to Begonia, F1, Marty Supreme, and One Battle After Another for me. All right, let's go first. Let's go the first bracket. Begonia versus F1. Who gets out of that bracket? F1. F1 was better. I enjoyed F1 better than Begonia. I loved Begonia, but I liked F1 better. All right, F1 comes out of that bracket. Marty Supreme versus One Battle After Another. Woo-hoo-hoo! This is two number ones. One Battle After Another. We're going One Battle After Another beats Marty Supreme. So now for me, it comes down to One Battle After Another or F1. It is One Battle After Another. I am consistent. When the nominees came out, I said this is the best movie of the year. Crazy lefties at war with the government. And Sean Penn is like, the main guy they're at war with. He's like a military guy, and he's no better than the guys on the left. And by the way, this doesn't glamorize, left terrorism. This makes them look like fools. This makes them look like a bunch of burnout, socially unacceptable, fringe dwellers. So don't, not watch One Battle After Another because you think it's going to make a bunch of 17-year-olds suddenly join Antifa. That ain't it. It's just funny. It's chaos. It's just nothing but chaos. And it speaks to how stupid we are, how divided we are as a nation right now, and how our two choices, the crazy authoritarian right of the government versus the insane left of Antifa, that ought to make you think. And that's why I appreciated One Battle After Another. Let's go to Best Director. Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Don't know who she is. Never seen Hamnet. Don't think I've ever seen anything else she's done. So she's out. Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. Let's put a pin in that. Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Best Director. Let's put a pin in that one. Joachim Trier. Yeah, that's the sentimental value guy. That's the foreign film about emotions and sisters and old dying fathers. I have no sisters. I don't have an old dying father, so I am out on that one. And Ryan Coogler for Sinners. Okay, because of the Peanut Gallery, a.k.a. the chat room, Ryan Coogler is getting a lot of love. Sinners is pretty good. So let me see. Let's go. Let's see. It's going to be Josh Safdie versus Paul Thomas Anderson. Marty Supreme for Marty Supreme for Josh Safdie and One Battle After Another for Paul Thomas Anderson. I told you, I just sang the praises of Josh Safdie and how he's able to make me feel something in his movies. He makes me feel uneasy. He makes me feel jumpy. He makes me feel, that is something I really appreciate. However, Paul Thomas Anderson, come on. He's my guy. They should have given him an Academy Award for Hard 8, his first movie in 1992. He should have gotten an Academy Award. He should have gotten it for Boogie Nights, which I still maintain is his best and most enjoyable film. But One Battle After Another might be his best film. I don't know. There you go. So Best Director, we're going with Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. Best Film, One Battle After Another. It's looking like we got a sweep here. Let's go to Best Actor, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. Can't really weigh on that with any authority because I haven't seen it, but I do like Michael B. Jordan, so I could see how he was good. Timothy Chalamet is nominated for Best Actor for Marty Supreme. Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. And Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. I think The Secret Agent is one of those movies you got to read. It might be good. It might be cool, but I got to read it. And so I'm going to put it off until I see whether or not it's worth my time. Like if it wins a bunch of stuff, then I'll be like, okay, I guess I got to see it. All right, Best Actor. For me, this is going to come down to three people: Timothy Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. My vote, if I had a vote, if I was voting for Best Actor, I would go Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. Ethan Hawke is a well-established actor. We know who Ethan Hawke is. We used to watch him when he was young and handsome, playing leading men, to sexy ingenue female characters. Ethan Hawke was always one type of actor. He takes this role in Blue Moon, and it's Ethan Hawke like you've never seen him before. He is playing a guy, a real guy, a guy who existed in history. Ethan Hawke is playing a guy who is like 5'5". And Ethan Hawke isn't 5'5". Ethan Hawke is a tall, thin, handsome man. And he shot this and played this. He played small. I've seen an interview with him. He's like, well, there were a lot of camera tricks that were done to make me look that size, but mostly it's about playing small. And then he explained how to play small. And it was just brilliant. It is just a brilliant portrayal in a film that is good, but possibly not Oscar worthy on its own. But the performance of Ethan Hawke, it's the best performance of his career. I would vote for Ethan Hawke for Best Actor for Blue Moon. He is so good. He plays Lawrence Hart. Lawrence Hart of Rogers and Hart. Rogers and Hart were a very famous songwriting team, very successful. They were like the Lennon and McCartney of the 1930s, right? Rogers and Hart. But Ethan Hawke plays Lawrence Hart, and Lawrence Hart was an alcoholic. And this whole movie is about Lawrence Hart sitting in a bar next door to a theater where his former partner, Rogers, is now putting on the first show of his new partnership. Rogers has left Hart, and Rogers has now joined with Hammerstein. And we all know Rogers and Hammerstein. And it's the opening night of Oklahoma. And Rogers' former partner, who got dumped, is sitting in a bar next door to the theater, and that's what the movie is. It's Rogers trying to be supportive of his, it's Lawrence Hart, Ethan Hawke trying to be supportive of his friend who has moved on with a new partner. And quite frankly, the show Oklahoma that he did with the new partner is better than anything they've ever done. It is a real emotional roller coaster, and Ethan Hawke deserves the Oscar, but that's my pick. All right, let's go on to Best Actress. Jessie Buckley. Adam says Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, not Hamlet, Hamnet. Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This is my sentimental favorite because I love her and I want her to start to be seen as the level of actress that she is. And this is a good start. Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You, about a single mom who is just, or not, she's not single, right? Her husband's just never there. All right, whatever. It's a good movie. Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue. I watched this movie. I thought it was like a Neil Diamond. I thought it was a movie about Neil Diamond. I thought that the who's Wolverine, that guy, Hugh Jackman. I thought Hugh Jackman was playing Neil Diamond. So I start to watch this movie, and it quickly becomes apparent that this isn't the Neil Diamond story. This is actually just about people who do Neil Diamond impersonations. And Hugh Jackman plays a Neil Diamond impersonator. And Kate Hudson plays his wife, who originally starts out, I believe, as a Patsy Cline impersonator. And they fall in love, and they decide to create a two-team, Thunder and Lightning, where he's going to do Neil Diamond songs, and, she's going to do whatever it is that she does. But anyway, it becomes a very popular thing, a review. People start lining up to see Thunder and Lightning. This is what the movie Song Sung Blue is about. So everybody, by the way, it's a true story. It is an absolute true story. So they were in Milwaukee, and I remember this group, this big Neil Diamond experience. I remember when it would tour in Chicago because it was in Milwaukee. They would just get in a car and drive down and play all these big theaters in Chicago. They opened up for Pearl Jam. That's where I first remembered them. Yeah, Pearl Jam, when they were doing their anti-Ticketmaster tour, where you may remember they were playing independent theaters in order to sort of cut Ticketmaster out. Pearl Jam came to Chicago and hired Thunder and Lightning from Milwaukee to be their opening act. And they just did Neil Diamond songs for the whole I wasn't at this Pearl Jam concert, but I have friends who were, and it was kind of a thing. It became a big deal. Anyway, that's the true story. That's the true story of Thunder and Lightning, a Milwaukee successful party band that did Neil Diamond covers. It stars Hugh Jackman and it stars Kate Hudson. She is nominated here as Best Actress. Now, here's the thing. It's a true story, and I have familiarity with the act, with the club act, Thunder and Lightning, because as I say, they were pretty big in the Midwest. I had no idea of what the story was behind that act. And for that reason, I recommend Song Sung Blue. It is a good movie. It takes a shockingly sad turn. I mean, you're watching this and you're like, this is fun, man. I got to start listening to some Neil Diamond songs. This shit is catchy. And then something happens in this movie and you're like, oh my God. And for that reason, don't anybody count out Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson was amazing in Song Sung Blue, and I'm happy to see that she's nominated. All right, next we've got Renata Steinsvy for Sentimental Value. Nope. And Emma Stone for Begonia. All right, these are the best actresses, right? Jessie Buckley, Rose Byrne, Kate Hudson, Renata Steinsvy, and Emma Stone. We're going to get rid of Jessie Buckley, not because I don't think she can win, because I certainly think that she's a threat anytime she's nominated, because she's a brilliant young actress. But I haven't seen Hamnet yet, so I can't give you an authentic, thing here. Rose Byrne, Kate Hudson, and Emma Stone. Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson would be the one that I want to. I see, but even Rose Byrne, no matter how much I want Rose Byrne to have the attention and notoriety, I think Kate Hudson could sneak in the back door. She is so strong in this performance. All right, Kate Hudson is who I'm choosing for Best Actress for Song Sung Blue. Supporting actor, let's go. Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another as the Sensei. Yes, Sensei. He's very funny. Benicio del Toro's great in One Battle After Another. He is up against Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein. Don't care about that. Delroy Lindo for Sinners. Haven't seen that, but love Delroy Lindo. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. All right, this to me is a two-horse race because I haven't seen Sinners, so I'm going to have to move Delroy Lindo out for the purposes of this conversation. Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another versus Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. Now, like I said, I've seen this movie twice. Both of those characters are like the whole reason to see the movie. Sean Penn is so horrifyingly freaky, and Benicio del Toro is so fun. Like, you just think, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been saying Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, as the psycho United States military guy whose entire life's pursuit has been to catch this anti-far left whatever group. Sean Penn, he's fucked up. He's crazy. But when you got to hunt crazy people, maybe you need a crazy person to hunt them. Sean Penn, I think, is your winner there. Best Supporting Actress, Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value. That's right. She was in it. It's not all Swedish people. Elle Fanning. We're going to move on. Also, her sister in the movie, Inga Ibsdotter. That's a Viking name. Inga Ibsdotter. That means her father's name was Ibs at some point down the line. Ibsdotter. Inga Ibsdotter for Sentiment. Oh, she's got another name? Her name is Inga Ibsdotter Laleya. Fuck her. She's not winning. Maybe she will, but a lot of people love that movie. A lot of women love Sentimental Value. So maybe, who knows? Amy Madigan for Weapons. Like I said, she was really terrific in that. An important character, but not on screen so much. And Adam in the chat room is saying that she's Amy Madigan, that she's the favorite, and that might be. I think people are rooting for her because we haven't, again, same reaction to me. Amy Madigan, I haven't seen her since I don't know when. I mean, it's been a while. So I don't know. I just don't know that I liked Weapons, but All right. Next we got Wumi Mosaka for Sinners. Don't know who that is. So we're going to move on. Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. All right, so here we go. Let's do the supporting actresses. So I guess, well, I mean, of this group, here's who I think is going to win. Are you ready? I think that Inga Ibsdottir Laleus for Sentimental Value is going to win the best support. That's who I think is going to win. Who I would have voted for out of this group, I guess I would have gone with Amy Madigan. Because Tiana Taylor in One Battle After Another, she was just a character. I felt like that was a character I'd seen in half a dozen Quentin Tarantino movies. It wasn't particularly great. I thought Chase Infinity was more interesting than Tiana Taylor. So, if you're going to give a supporting actress to somebody. All right, so we're going with Amy Madigan's. And finally, the last pick to click for, oh, no, I'm sorry. Hold on. We'll get to this. We got two more categories. Original screenplay. All right. This is an original screenplay. It's not adapted from a book that was turned into a movie. It's not a real life story that was taken from somebody else. This is a person who sat in front of a blank page and then created this. Give credit where credit is due. It's all about the writing, and yet the writer never gets any credit. They're not the star. They're the nerd. Although Arthur Miller did get Marilyn Monroe because Marilyn Monroe understood that it was all about the writing. Original screenplay. Although I guess Judd Apatow got Leslie Mann. That's pretty good. Judd Apatow. He shouldn't get Leslie Mann, but he's a writer and he got so I guess there are some situations where writers do get the perks of being so important to these things that we enjoy. Original screenplay, Sinners. It's a vampire movie. Okay. Look, I'm going to stop being so dismissive of Sinners until I see it. Original screenplay, Sinners. Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value. It Was Just an Accident, and Blue Moon. Best screenplay. Marty Supreme. I'm going to go with Marty Supreme. That's a pretty great story. It's a pretty fun story. Yeah. All right, there you go. Marty Supreme for Best Original Screenplay. Now, yesterday when I was championing the superiority of the Screen Actors Guild Awards, remember I told you about how the Screen Actors Guild Awards had changed their name to the Actors, and they were now streaming live on Netflix instead of being on one of the networks. The Actors, I told you, I liked because it was more just about the celebrities. And if you just want to watch celebrities and the people who acted in the things that you saw, then the Screen Actors Guild or the Actors is what's probably best for you. I said that something that the Screen Actors Guild Award does that the Oscars don't is they have an award for Best Cast, which I then yesterday said the Oscars really ought to do that. Well, they did. There is a category here for Best Cast, or as they call it now at the Academy Awards, casting. Maybe this isn't new. It is relatively new, though. This isn't a traditional category. But I would think that since some of these movies are ensembles, I would think that, it's about time that we start actually recognizing the casting director who always seems to be overlooked. Here is the nominees for Best Cast in a film this year. Hamnet, haven't seen it. Marty Supreme. Yeah, it's a pretty big cast, and there's a lot of different and unique and interesting characters, so that's pretty good. Marty Supreme is a pretty good cast. One Battle After Another is a very good cast. Secret Agent, I haven't seen it, so I can't really weigh in. And Sinners, the same thing, although Sinners, man, I mean, people are like, I love that movie, and there's all kinds of people in that movie getting all kinds of attention, so maybe that's a great cast, but for my purposes, we're going Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme for Best Casting. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it. Those are your picks to click. One more time, I'll run through them. If you've got a scorecard handy, write these down and let's compare them against how it plays out on Sunday night. I've got Best Cast going to Marty Supreme. I've got Best Original Screenplay going for Marty Supreme. I've got Best Supporting Actress going to Amy Madigan for Weapons. I've got Best Supporting Actor. Best Supporting Actor going to Sean Penn. I'm staying consistent on that. Best Actress. This is the one that, it's probably not going to be right. I imagine maybe the Sentimental Value girl will win. But my pick for Best Actress is Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue. If that looks like a movie you wouldn't be interested in, I would say watch it, because I thought it was one thing. I started watching it and I was like, this isn't at all what I thought. And I was really close to going, never mind. And then for some reason I stayed. And maybe it's just Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is a pretty charismatic actor, and he was playing this character pretty funny. Like, if you've ever, here's what I appreciate about it. If you've ever known people who are in local bands, who played in local clubs, and we're just like, trying to get a record deal, but we're like an actual business, party bands or whatever. If you've ever known anybody in that world, the Hugh Jackman character is very real to life. That guy exists. The guy who's never had a job, who, thought he was going to make it when he was 20 because his band was getting some real interest, but now he's like 50 something and he's still doing it. And now he's just desperately trying to come up with a gimmick. He's so great. Hugh Jackman is so great in that. But Kate Hudson as his wife, who does the heavy lifting as far as the drama, although that's unfair because Hugh Jackman has to, play off it. So, but Kate Hudson, I think Kate Hudson, that's the one who I want to win. I'm rooting for Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, the movie that is about Neil Diamond, but isn't the Neil Diamond story. Best Actor, I think I told you Best Actor. Who did I go with? I wanted to go with Ethan Hawke, right? Ethan Hawke was my favorite, my pick, the one that I would vote for Best Actor. But I don't know. It'll probably come down to Timothée Chalamet or Leonardo DiCaprio. That's how these things work. Best Director, I told you, was Paul. Yeah, it was Paul Thomas Anderson, right? It was Paul Thomas Anderson. Best Director was Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah, I'm looking at it. That's who I would go with. And then the Best Picture, one battle after another. All right, those are my picks. Those are my Sunday nights. Something that I will not be watching live, but I'll definitely be recapping it. All right, why not? If Adam and I are going to have this conversation, why not? We'll have this conversation. All right, Adam says Paul Thomas Anderson is a heavy favorite, but Coogler is getting some late buzz. Paul Thomas Anderson has won every single precursor award. Adam says, fucking loved Blue Moon. I'd love for you. Thank you. Look at Adam and I. See, that's a movie we could have sat down and both looked at each other and gone, this is surprisingly good, right? The story is kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. And Ethan Hawke, I thought that maybe I enjoyed it so much because I'd been through so much therapy, and specifically therapy that teaches you how to manage your emotional response to things. And if you watch that movie, Ethan Hawke is playing a guy who is emotionally crushed because he so wanted his former partner's new partnership to suck. And instead of it sucking, he just watched Oklahoma for the first time, which, is widely considered the greatest stage musical ever created, right? So he's sitting in this bar. He walks out of Oklahoma after realizing how good it is, how much better his former partner is with the new partner. And he goes to a bar next door and just starts drinking. And he's trying to be optimistic, and he's trying to be a good person. He loves his former partner. They didn't break up because of hatred. They broke up because, as is revealed in this movie, the Ethan Hawke character is an alcoholic. And that's why he's in this bar drinking. Oh, he's great. And he's saying like in one breath, he'll say, it's the greatest show that I've ever seen. And then in the next breath, he'll have some like shitty thing to say about Oscar Hammerstein. It's the way he processes his emotions. As far as acting, if we are looking at acting, I mean, it's just such a tremendous management of rage and sorrow and mourning, but also optimism, all, sort of drowned in bourbon. It's great. I thought it was really great. I loved it. I'm glad Adam loved it too. He says, I'd say Andor, Pluribus, and The Lowdown were my favorite 3 TV shows last year. Pluribus, absolutely. Pluribus, absolutely. Pluribus of last year, it's Pluribus. Mobland, which I'm not sure how you guys see Mobland. I think it's on Paramount. Mobland is so good. Mobland is such a great show. Pluribus, Mobland, and I don't have to get back to you on that. That's a good one. Adam also says Rose Byrne was my favorite, followed closely behind Emma Stone. I didn't realize this. If Emma Stone wins, she'll be in rarefied air. It'll be her third Oscar. Descendants, right? Did she win for Descendants? Wasn't that her first? That was where no, or did she get in trouble for Descendants? I don't know. What is Emma Stone won for? I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's easily just Google. Just ask AI. Descendants was the movie set in Hollywood where she played a girl of Hawaiian descent. And I believe she got in trouble for that. I believe that was a big problem. All right. Meanwhile, Ethan Hawke's playing a midget, and they didn't hire a midget, and nobody's got a problem with that because they were all so blown away by how well he played a midget when not actually being a midget. Let's see, what else do we have here? We did those. That's pretty heavy. I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe we'll save that. I told you at the beginning of the show that we were going to talk about a situation in Florida between a daddy and a daughter. And that's kind of, what I'm going to do? I'm going to move that. We're going to bump that story because it's an evergreen. It just happened recently, but it's an evergreen story. We can do it on Monday. I need to place it higher in the show because I feel like I just get too emotional talking about that story. So come on. We're heading up on 3 hours here. So we got a lot more stuff here that I wanted to get into. Okay. Here's a fun little viral video. Let's check this out. All right. So, hey. You know how they're supposed to respect us. Remember that was one of the things about, if we bring MAGA back into power, the world will respect us again. Remember that? Because apparently they totally didn't respect us before. America was just a joke country to everybody. And then Trump's here and now they're going to respect us again. So you know how we have viral crazes here in America? Like the ice bucket challenge or planking or what, people do these stupid things, these stupid, little group viral videos that we hope go viral. They do it in China too. And guess what the big viral video hit in China is right now? Here, let me show you. China. This is what China's doing. China is mocking the president. Viral videos. People all over China are making viral videos where they stand around a single individual and then pray over them like he's the golden calf.
Pray for your grace and protection over our troops. Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president.
These are all different examples.
Pray for your grace and protection over our troops. Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president. Pray for your grace and protection over our troops.
Why does
Father,
it keep
we just
repeating?
pray you'll continue to give our.
All right, there you go. Anyway, they're respecting us again by mocking us. MAGA, the diehard MAGA, like the people we looked at in Kentucky, they have no sense. So they have no ability to see what that shit looks like to outsiders who haven't drank the Kool-Aid. It looks fucking absurd. And even in China, they're like, this is fucking absurd. It's not a cult. Totally normal. That's totally normal behavior. All right. What else do we have here? Let's see. Oh, this one we can do. All right. Last week or something, there was a video going around of a preacher who was, demanding that his congregation show up the next Sunday with their tax returns because he's not satisfied with how much they're tithing. He wants more money, because Jesus is all about you giving all the money that you have. This preacher went up, we played the video, and he basically demanded that you're not giving enough, and I want all of you people. He's being real aggressive and jerky about it. Now, the reason I showed it to you last time was because because we were doing this comparison between James Tallarico, who was talking about his relationship with Christ and about how he follows in the doctrine of welcoming the outsider and, feeding the hungry and all of that stuff, all the good Jesus stuff that we teach like 5-year-olds. So that was being deemed evil by the established evangelical Christian community. They need desperately you, the people who attend those mega churches, to keep voting the way they want. So they are doing what I explained earlier, projection. They themselves are evil, but they are calling Tallarico's style of Jesuit Christendom, they're calling that evil. So as an example, I just showed you him talking about, very calmly and seriously about Jesus and how Jesus wanted us to love each other and not be so divisive. And that's evil. And then by comparison, I showed you the guy demanding that they bring their tax returns. Well, he's back. He's back, and if you think that was a one-off, and if you think the fact that it went viral may have embarrassed him, and maybe he had a clearer thought, and maybe he's going to proceed differently now, you would be wrong, because he's back. Here he is. We're calling him the tithing preacher. This video is actually much better than the one we saw from a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was just last week. This video goes on for a while. Let's watch this guy, and remember, feeding the hungry, welcoming the stranger. What else? What else are the Jesus things that Tallarico likes? Whatever, doesn't matter. Just remember those things are evil, and that this is completely acceptable within the modern Christian community here in America. But remember, I need you to remember, this is very important, James Tallarico's message of welcoming the stranger and feeding the hungry and clothing and all. Fuck. I don't know why I can't stop. Here we go.
Got paid. My tithe is what? 100. So, man, I got to pay my daycare. They're going to kick my kid out. Here we go. All right. Ooh. Also, I need to pay my phone bill because T-Mobile about to cut me off. Grocery. Ooh. My kid's hungry. Oh, the Lord. Oh. Here's the Lord. Here's your $100, Lord. Thank you. And then here's my mortgage payment. Now, you say, well, Pastor, that's good. That's not good. Now, see, here's the difference. I'm helping somebody right now, because if you just switch the order, you'll see some increase come. Most people do what I just did. Watch this. They gave a tenth to the Lord, but they didn't do it first. We gave him a tenth, but this is how you can give a tenth and not give it first. But the scripture says the first one is what? So I done gave my money to somebody, holy money. I done gave it to the phone bill people. And you only give the tenth first to somebody who can bless you. So let me give me my money back. Give me that. Give me this. Give me this. Give me this. Give me this. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, this is what should have happened. So who should I give to first? The Lord. Switch places with somebody.
All right, look, you get the fucking idea, right? Okay, I want to know how is this church? How is it? This is just a community place where people go every week and they know the people who are there, and they're just programmed to think that this is what fucking church is. Church is where you go to learn how to be a more moral, a more grounded person. Church isn't where you go to be berated by some guy in a fancy suit because you're not giving him enough of your hard-earned money. This guy is actually telling people before they pay their childcare, before they pay their phone bill, before they pay everything, you got to pay us first. Now, this goes back to the old biblical idea, which, by the way, Jesus never got into, but the idea of first fruits, which is, back when the economy of the day was harvest, you would take the first of the harvest and you would give it to the community, who at the time was, under the direction of some religious leader. But that's the idea behind first harvest. Harvest the first and give it to the people who did the work so that they can continue the harvest for the future. It is not about give me my money first, because you may not have enough after paying the rest of your bills to give me the money I want. But remember, James Tallarico is evil. And that man that we just watched is a very successful preacher, I would assume, now after all of this viral shit. He is probably very much within the mainstream of what is acceptable within his church. What is evil? Somebody who is saying, look, we need to stop all of this divisive nonsense and we need to remember the word of Jesus who says that we need to welcome the stranger and that we need to feed the hungry and we need to clothe the cold and shelter the homeless. These are the ideas of Jesus. That's evil. But a guy getting up on stage using other people from the congregation as props, holding up little signs to represent the bills people must pay, and then being chastised for paying childcare, then being chastised for paying your fucking phone bill or your mortgage because you didn't give this son of a bitch money first. And he's trying to tie it to scripture, which was about harvest, not money. And the whole idea behind First Harvest, by the way, is about the betterment of the community, not the enrichment of a singular individual, which is what this guy is demanding. Give me your first harvest. This is why I am a lapsed Catholic. This is why, as a grown-up, I started to look at the world and go, this is all bullshit. Everything that I was taught when I was in grade school and Catholic school or wherever it was, CCD, everything that I was taught was just bullshit because they don't actually act that way when they become grown-ups. But Tallarico's evil and a heretic for legitimately speaking and reciting the words and intentions of Jesus. But this guy, he's perfectly acceptable in the modern American cult of Christianity, which is not the same thing, which is why I'm using it differently, man. I'm a Jesuit. I am a Jesuit. I am a follower of Jesus. I am a follower of Jesus's teachings, the way Jesus wants us to behave as individuals. That's what I follow. I am a Jesuit. I am fucking not a Christian because I don't know what the hell Christianity is in America now. All right. Let's see here. What else do we have? All right, I'll calm down. You know what? Let's tie it down a little bit. You know, I'm going to end with this. We're going to end with this. We're going to be done. We're going to be done. Have a good weekend. I got leprechaun problems I got to deal with. Big giant leprechaun problems. World Baseball Classic. All right. So you know, I'm big into the World Baseball Classic. I've been telling you about this team Italy, which is insane. The Italians are not supposed to be good at baseball. And, you know, yet turns out they're having really great success here. The early round, they won the early pool. I mean, they were in a pool with Mexico and the United States. Nobody thought that Italy was going to come out of this pool. Everybody assumed that they would lose to Mexico and the United States. Well, they lost to Mexico pretty handily, but they defeated the United States, which is a crazy, crazy victory for Italian baseball. And I've been telling you, when you think of the Team Italy, don't think of Team Italy the way we think of Team Czechia, right? Team Czechia legitimately is like 20 guys who live in that country who are familiar with American baseball. That's what it is. They're just out there. They're like a beer league softball team. They're having fun. And that's why we root for Czechia and we like them. Unfortunately, they're gone now. They've been swept out of the first round, but that's okay. That's okay. Certainly you think of Mexico as a good ball club. Certainly you think of the Dominican as a good ball club. Certainly you think of Venezuela as a good ball club. Japan, Korea, America, those are the big ones. But we don't think of Italy that way. But what Italy actually is, Italy isn't a team with a bunch, you know, Luigi and Mario aren't out there. Italy is a team comprised of Major League Baseball players. And a lot of the players on Team Italy are from two teams, the Kansas City Royals and the Chicago White Sox. And these are all players these players are not like scrubs. They're not like, you know, Crash Davis from Bull Durham. These are all guys who are either in their first or second year in the majors who have a very big upside, or they're like AAA guys who are top prospects. So when I say Team Italy has a baseball team, it ain't like Chechnya. These are like real ball players. These are real ball players who are just simply not known. Whereas Team USA is, you know, it's like every big name Major League Baseball player with American birth certificate alive. They're all on this team. So when people were saying, when Team Italy was beating the United States, a lot of people were saying, this is the JV squad beating the varsity. That's what we're watching here. Don't think that suddenly the, you know, average kid in Italy is good at baseball and that this is representative of a larger, you know, baseball society there in Italy. It ain't. They just cherry pick the right amount of unknown prospects who all have Italian last names, except for White Sox catcher Kyle Teal, who's not Italian at all, but apparently his mom was born there, so he gets to be on the team. So that's what this team is. And I've been telling you about some of the things that Team Italy has been doing. The thing that everybody's talking about is the espresso machine, right? The people are also talking about the red wine in the locker room before and after games. Before a game. They got a red wine. There was a guy sitting there just drinking a glass of red wine from Team Italy before the game. And then after the game, no champagne, just a nice glass of red wine. During the game, espresso. These guys, they got an espresso machine because Italy. They got an espresso machine in the dugout, and the Italian players sit there just fucking between innings, just pounding espresso. It's awesome. It is awesome. So here is Kansas City Royals first baseman, Vinny Pasquantino. I think he's a first baseman. I'm not sure. Here's Kansas City Royals player Vinny Pasquantino, who's a member of Team Italy, talking about, this experience of playing in a different baseball culture and, the wine and the espresso. Here you go. This is actually pretty cute. This is pretty cute from the World Baseball Classic. Again, Vinny Pasquantino of Team Italy. And notice the Italian accent.
3 espresso shots in. How you feeling?
I'm caffeinated.
Hold on here.
3 espresso shots in. How you feeling?
I'm caffeinated. I'm beamed up right now, so we're in a good spot.
So how?
I'm beamed up right now. He's had 3. He hit a 3 home run game. All right, so he had a 3 home run game, and he had 3 shots of espresso. He is, as he says, I am beamed up right now. Is that going to be a new thing in baseball? Are we going to start having espresso machines in locker rooms and dugouts?
3 espresso shots in. How you feeling?
I'm caffeinated. I'm beamed up right now, so we're in a good spot.
So how many more boxes of those espresso pods are now on order?
As many as we need. We'll make it happen. So that was unbelievable, huh? You're welcome, USA. We were thinking of you guys over at your hotel. We were thinking of you guys.
You know what? I misspoke. When I said Italy lost to Mexico, they didn't lose to Mexico. They beat Mexico, and that's what he's saying. You're welcome, you guys. I'm sorry. I was thinking of 3 different things at once. He's saying you're welcome, America, because Italy needed to beat Mexico in order for America to be one of the top 2 teams in the pool bracket in advance.
Glad you guys could join. We were thinking of you guys over at your hotel.
Hold on.
You're welcome, USA. We were thinking of you guys over at your hotel. We were thinking of you guys, so I'm glad you guys could join us in the party. Team Italy saying to the people who invented baseball, we were thinking about you. We're glad you're able to join us here in the Champions Round.
So when you get back to your phone, Vinny, what's that text message going to say from Bobby Witt Jr.?
I'm hoping he's got a room key for me at his hotel. That's what I'm hoping for.
What does that mean? That sounds, as Tony Soprano would say, kind of gay, isn't it?
That's it. No, I'm just joking around, but I don't know. I don't even know what I'm feeling right now. I've never felt this before.
Because he's all beamed up.
Like, I know we didn't win anything. We won the pool and we've advanced, but just we weren't supposed to, right? I mean, we had expectations that we could, but we did. We knew what we needed to do tonight. And once we scored,
listen to this accent. This is a guy claiming to represent Italy.
4 runs, it was like, all right, we better win this thing. So it's I don't know. It's pretty special. This is a really cool group. Whatever happens next, we're going to be ready for it, and I'm honored to just be a part of this.
Sometimes when someone who's hit as many home runs as you have, Vinny, you know when it's going to be a special day. I saw you bunt on your first pitch. So what were your thoughts, your emotions heading into this one?
I'm pretty sure everybody knew how I had been hitting so far in this tournament. I knew. Any way you can get a hit, you just try to get on base and help the team. And I've never hit 3 home runs in a game before, so that's kind of cool. But more importantly, we were able to put some runs on the board early, and we.
All right, we don't need to hear the whole thing, but it's just I didn't have very big expectations for the World Baseball Classic. I just, I love baseball, and it was on, so I started to watch. I had no expectation that I would get this caught up in all of this. Who is it? There was a member of the Seattle Mariners who plays for maybe the Dominican Republic or maybe Venezuela. I'm not sure. And I don't want to take the time to look it up. But a Major League Baseball player made the comment in an interview 2 days ago, not yesterday, but the day before. He made the comment that the thing that American ball players will never understand is that, to me, now remember, this is a member of the Seattle Mariners. He said this: the thing that American ball players will never understand is that, to me, winning the World Baseball Classic is more important than winning a World Series. Whoa! Meanwhile, you got Team America, who is like, well, we just thought we'd show up and play and, kind of like spring training, go half speed. Meanwhile, all of these other countries are out there putting actual worth on this title. Italy wants to win it. Venezuela wants to win it. Yeah, all of these countries want to win it. And what we're seeing is some really competitive ball games. Really, we are seeing big major league stars, people that we know from watching Major League Baseball, spread out over a whole bunch of different national teams. These guys are playing hard. These guys are trying to win. The only thing that I see that doesn't look like they're trying to win is the way Team America, or Team USA, not Team America, because there are lots of teams here in the Americans, but the only thing that I see is not really trying to win is the way our pitching staff is being managed and the way our rotation of players is being managed. It does not appear to me, it seems to me like Team USA manager Mark DeRosa, who, and I'm not one of these people that thinks we need to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. He did some embarrassing things before the Italy game where America lost. But other than that, Mark DeRosa is fine. My problem with it is that they were caught off guard, I think. I think Team USA didn't expect the level of passion from these other countries. I think Team USA thought they would just show up, go half speed, and show the whole world how incredible they are at baseball. At least that was their attitude towards anybody that wasn't called Japan, right? I think Team USA might get up for the game against Japan, but it's like they felt, and Mark DeRosa as the manager seems like he is managing just to sort of, allow his players to do as little as possible. Meanwhile, they're going up against teams who only want to beat Team USA. And these teams are also made up of professional Major League Baseball players. All the superstars, I got news for you guys. If you watch Major League Baseball, the biggest superstars weren't born in Ohio. Most of them are playing for the Dominican. A lot of them are playing for Mexico and Venezuela and Japan. Right? The greatest player in Major League Baseball is Shohei Ohtani. He is not on Team USA. So I think America's got to get their heads out of their asses and decide, because here's the problem. The American baseball players are all trying to preserve themselves for the season that is coming. Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to take any unnecessary chances. Meanwhile, the White Sox, we don't have a catcher now for 2 months because Kyle Teal blew his hammy trying to stretch a single into a double for Team Italy. Right? So that's what we're seeing here. And America, when we play Canada, do we play Canada? Is Canada tonight? Hold on. Let me see. Because this will be another interesting one, because Team Canada's got, Team Canada, they play baseball. They've got some players there. When is Team USA versus Team Canada? Let's see. So you're not going to. All right, 7:00 tonight. All right, Team USA faces Team Canada in the 2026 World Baseball Classic quarterfinals on Friday, March 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. The game will be held at Dakin Park in Houston and broadcast on Fox. All right, so it's a Fox National game. It's Friday night. If you guys haven't checked out any of this, maybe you should. It's pretty good. It's really good, exciting baseball. And let's see if America, Team USA, can get their heads out of their asses and actually look like they're trying instead of being embarrassed the way they were by Team Italy, who jumped out to an 8-0 lead. 8-0. It's like 8-0 in the 6th inning. Italy against America. Anyway, the World Baseball Classic. I'm a big fan. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in today and hanging out with me. Once again, I want to remind you that we had an executive producer, and today's executive producer was you, the chat room. Combined efforts of the chat room from yesterday, the greatest chat friends in the game. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you. We didn't make it, so if there's some of you out there who maybe didn't drop a little something, you want to join the party and be a part of the greatest chat room ever, you can drop a little something in the Cash App or the Venmo. Like I said, I can't believe what you guys did yesterday. That was, I didn't see it happening when it was happening, but I certainly was made aware of it. There was a movement in the chat room to get everybody to donate $10 because we were so woefully behind the 8 ball this month, as we always are. I don't think there's ever been a month where I've been like, we're pretty good. So, it's just the nature of the beast, the way we do this show. So thank you all. And, again, we didn't get to the number. We're a little shy. We didn't get to the number, but holy shit, so much closer than I thought. So thank you guys. I do appreciate that. All right, that's going to do it. Again, if you want to drop something, there you go. I got big leprechaun problems I got to deal with right now. Love you guys. Be cool to each other. We got the Oscars. Be sure and, we'll recap on Monday whether or not I did a good job picking my winners or not. World Baseball Classic tonight. Team USA versus Team Canada at 7:00 on Fox. So don't worry. The problem with the World Baseball Classic has been that a lot of it's been on FS1. A lot of people don't have access to FS1. This is a national game. This is going to be on Fox. Not Fox News, not Fox Sports. Fox. All right. I guess that's it. All right, bye, guys. Have a good weekend.